As the sport of American football continues to grow across the globe, it is still a decisive advantage within North America, where two nations over the years have claimed each of the U-19 World Championships, the United States of America and Canada. In fact, the last time these two teams met, it was 2 summers ago in Austin, Texas, where Canada pulled out the upset in the 2012 U-19 World Championships. USA comes in, of course, a new roster these days with a renewed focus in this new format of the USA Football International Bowl. It is a 6-game series with tonight featuring the U-19 squad for each club. Young men for the United States who back on Wednesday made their college commitments. A lot of household names over the next few years that you'll be able to say you first saw perhaps debut here in Arlington, Texas in the Metroplex. As Lincoln Rose, along with Tom Monfiletto, as Tom, we take a look at this starting lineup, and I know some individuals in particular stand out to you.
Yeah, well, I just look at this offensive line here, and I see Ohio State, University of Georgia, Kansas State, Alabama, University of Virginia, and UNC. It is literally absurd to have this much talent on the same field at once. But I want you to take a close look at Saeed Block now. He is a receiver with outstanding hands. He's extremely, extremely athletic, can jump out of the gym if he were in a gym. He's committed to play at the Pennsylvania State University. He's somebody to look out for. And, of course, getting the start at quarterback, Tyler Wiegers, headed to the University of Iowa. So look for that connection to reign supreme here in the International Bowl for the U-19 team.
Starting lineups brought to you by Shock Doctor. And again, as we are in Arlington, let's take a look at the other side of the football for USA.
And the defensive starters here, we have Jay Hayes headed to Michigan State, and Enoch Smith Jr. also headed to Michigan State. Going to play for Coach Pat Norduzzi next year. They call themselves the Spartan Savage Squad, and they're really, really excited to go and play on a Michigan State. The number 1 defense in the country, T.J. Harrell, also headed to Michigan State as well. And I'm sorry, Jay Hayes is actually headed to Notre Dame. So I got him mixed up with some of the extremely talented players here, but there are just so many outstanding football players on the field, it's easy to do that.
We rattle off these names. It sounds like an all-star game, but USA Football is the national team on behalf of the United States. It is recognized by the NCAA as such, and that means this does not count against these young men in the NCAA as one of their 2 all-star games they're allowed to participate. They are out here representing the 3 letters on their chest tonight, taking on the national team from Canada.
And Lincoln, we've been waiting all week for this. It started Wednesday morning. We had National Signing Day at AT&T Stadium. Got to meet a lot of these guys, got to know why they made their decisions, and really got to see some of their personalities. It was a lot of fun. It was a great event. Everybody was happy. Families came in from all over the country, and everybody was able to watch live on YouTube. But I am just excited to see these guys play because I've been watching their highlight videos all week. I've been talking to Nick Panisi, who hand-selected this team, not exactly, but who had a hand in putting this team on the field from the development camps and from watching them all season long. And it is exciting to finally see it come to fruition on the football field here at Maverick Stadium. We get to see all this talent, and we got to see how it works together.
International competition under IFAF rules, International Federation of American Football. It'll closely resemble the NCAA rules that you see at the college level on Saturdays. The quarters are shorter, 12-minute quarters, as the United States will begin with the football, and this is Tommy Mister.
See ya.
And you see the speed and the athleticism on display. And correction, that's Justin Jackson, the native of Illinois, who's headed off to Northwestern. And I'll backtrack again, Tommy Mister.
It was Mister, and that was phenomenal. Headed to the University of Indiana. He can play receiver. He can play running back. Just an absolute threat with the ball in his hands, and we saw him just take that back about 60 yards and almost break it for a touchdown to get things going here.
Mr. The Pride of Chicago, the 6-foot receiver, will be headed off to the Big Ten to play at Indiana this upcoming fall. Signed on the dotted line back on Wednesday morning at the home of the Dallas Cowboys over there at AT&T Stadium.
Tyler Wiegers getting the start under center for Team USA.
That's Samaje Perine joining him in the backfield. The handoff up the middle, blocking up front and a hole. And on 1st and 10, a 12-yard gain for USA, flexing the muscle with those big bodies up front.
Coming up, firing. We talked to Coach Faircloth last night. He said they're going to run 2 backs. They're going to run from the gun, but they're going to run right at you. He said he talked to his linemen. He talked to his running backs. He said it is going to be freezing cold. This game is on you guys, and they're starting off already. Samaje Perine with an excellent run.
Perine out of the Austin area from Pflugerville at Hendrickson High. He will be an Oklahoma Sooner for Bob Stoops next year, following the footsteps of names like DeMarco Murray and Adrian Peterson. As United States hands this ball up the gut, picks up about a yard. Canada with the stop. Perine with another carry here. This is the 3rd game taking place on this field today, as the U15s and U16s have already competed. United States won the first matchup of the day. Canada came back, took the second one, essentially the rubber match of this opening day of the International Bowl.
Yeah, and it looks like Samaje Perine is going to be one of the main factors in getting this rubber match over to the U.S. It looks like they're going to get a steady dose of the running back, as you said, committed to Oklahoma. They're going to keep churning those legs in this cold weather and getting it done for Team U.S.
2nd and 8 for USA. And out to the left side, that incomplete. It'll set up 3rd and 10. The intended receiver was James Maiden, a 6'2" target out of Saxe right here in Texas. And an intelligent young man will be playing in Conference USA for Rice.
And we saw his brother. Earlier in the day, and Jalen playing for the U15 squad.
Third and 8. Canada gets the pressure. Able to initially avoid the first tackler, unable to get back to line of scrimmage, and a decision coming up here for the United States on the opening drive, and it looks as though the decision is made. They want points on the board. So it'll be 4th and 9 coming up. Alex Spence is the sole kicker on this squad, and you see not a typical kicker's frame, a big boy at 6 feet 2 inches tall, 190 pounds out of Florence, South Carolina, and he's going to stay close to home, compete in the ACC at Clemson.
Said he's good from about 50 consistently, Lincoln. Said he can bomb one from about 60 if he's feeling good on that day.
This one from 32. And the first test of his right leg, flying colors, United States, first drive of the night. On the board here in the Battle of the U-19s.
And in this weather, in these conditions, the ball really doesn't travel well, especially off a foot. But you see now why this guy's going to Death Valley and kicking in the ACC next year.
This has been a fun week that's culminating this weekend for these young men. The U-19ers came in time to watch the Super Bowl together here, of course, in the backyard of an NFL stadium over there at AT&T Stadium, home of the Cowboys. U-19 kids did not get to play in the Jamboree. They had their moment earlier in the day with you, making their announcements, signing on the dotted line, and learning what a fax machine is, sending in their commitments.
And it was a lot of fun, Lincoln. And as we begin our discussion on their futures, we just want to remind our viewers at home that portions of today's broadcast brought to you by Riddell, Protect and Perform, providing the uniforms and helmets for Team USA. Sports Authority, all things sporting good, by Shock Doctor Sports, the leader in mouthguard technology. And it was great to meet all of these guys, Lincoln, and really get a glimpse of how they came to these decisions and how excited they are to really get started early. A lot of these guys made their decisions somewhat based on the ability to contribute early.
And they'll try to contribute in this ball game early before they advance to their college careers next fall. A little bit later on the broadcast, fun part, we get to take a trip down memory lane looking at some of the alumni of USA football, some very notable names, including some recent national champions. Cedric Joseph is among the men deep for Canada to return. Cedric out of Quebec, as Canada about to set up for its first possession of the night. Across the 20 and nothing more.
Whoa.
And a huge punishing hit by, I believe, Morale Stevens.
Morrill Stevens headed to the University of Florida, normally a wide receiver coming down, making a huge play on kickoff. Special teams, something that is not really focused on during the week, but they do spend time practicing it. They do strategically play some of their best athletes on different special teams, and we saw an excellent kickoff coverage on their first kickoff of the game.
And I'll backtrack. Christian Lezer with the stop out of Clearfield, Pennsylvania. Future member of Boston College's program. That ball tipped, but no one able to get to it in time. It'll be 2nd and 10 coming up. Quarterback is Brett Hunchak. Plays for the Calgary Colts, the Canadian Junior Football League, and predictably from Alberta, Canada.
And Lincoln, Christian Lezer headed to Boston College. Huge, maybe not huge, but a very good tradition at the linebacker position for Boston College. You think of Mark Herzlich, you have Luke Kuechly, Defensive Player of the Year this year for the Carolina Panthers, all coming from Boston College. Lezer hopes to follow their footsteps, and just a hard-nosed football player that really gets to the ball quickly and can lay the wood, as you saw on that first play.
It's going to be after the penalty, 1st and 22 to go. Again, Canada on its first offensive possession of the night, and that ball airmailed will set up 2nd and long. As the intended receiver was Kareem Carsonis out of Quebec from Montreal. See if USA Football's defense can make a stop here on 2nd and 22 with the ball currently spotted on the 11-yard line of Canada. United States had to settle for about a 32-yard field goal, which was good moments ago. Another ball sent flying downfield. That one catchable. Ultimately intended for Trevell Pinto. Pinto from Toronto. Unable to haul it in, and that does not help the cause here of the Canadians. They're going to have to pick it all up here on 3rd down.
A lot of zone defense here from Team USA. And cover 3 there. Defensive backs backing off a little bit, but you will see them in some press coverage, and you will be impressed.
So with the incompletions, minimal time has come off the clock. Again, we played 12-minute quarters here at the international level. All these young men, high school seniors, have played their final high school football game. Get to suit up here in the month of February. On 3rd and 22, must get the ball to the 32-yard line. They'll pick up none of what was needed, and it will be 4th down, a punting situation, and that punter is going to be back in his own end zone for Canada.
Yeah, really a great way to start off the game if you're the USA defense. A 3-and-out, and not only a 3-and-out, but about a 4th and 20, as they are sure to get some excellent field position once again to start their second drive of the game.
Charles Nelson is back to return for the United States, and he continues to creep up a little bit closer as Gabriel Ferraro, the punter, in for Canada. Pressure up front. Punt is clean and a good one as backtracking and in the return. Looking for blocks over the near sideline, and no flags down, and a punishing shot at the 32-yard line, but the United States will take it. Nelson bringing it down to the 32. It'll be 1st and 10 from there as United States will set up for the second time tonight on offense.
Yeah, it was Chris Brown filling in, coming in, making that huge hit on the sideline. But the big story there, Charles Nelson, as we take another look at it here, his burst of speed is outrageous. Once he finds a seam, gets to the sideline, yeah, he takes a big hit. But look at where the U.S. is. On the 34-yard line, that's their second time inside the 40 to start a drive off.
About a 25-yard return on the play, and the offense for United States of America with great starting field position. And this handoff inside the left tackle coming from the quarterback, Jalen McClendon, who's now going to start this second series. And this is a situation when you're too deep. It's more like starter A and starter B.
Yeah.
There's not a big drop-off.
I know. It doesn't even feel bad even saying A and B because the two of them, the 3 quarterbacks on this roster, McClendon, Wiegers, and Durkin, all unbelievably productive from the quarterback position. Each of them possess unique skills. Durkin will be in on some Wildcat packages, but all of them electrifying.
It is McClendon out of the shotgun, young man who's committed to the Wolfpack of North Carolina State in his home state, growing up in Charlotte. As he looks left, has protection, gets rid of it. Incomplete on 2nd and 5. Third down coming up. Again, looking for Stevens, his 6'3" target down the field. And Stevens out of Perry, Florida. And, of course, he will stay in state and play for the Gators and Will Muschamp.
And we asked him Wednesday what it felt like to hopefully be a part of a turnaround from a program that once saw some national championship success and was once at just the top of the hill, had a bit of a fallback. And he looked at me and he said, it's not going to be that difficult.
A certain other school within that same state won it this year,
right,
thanks to a former USA football quarterback. So on 3rd down, 5 to go, flag comes flying in. Play never got started as the play clock was down to 0. We'll see if that is in fact the case, and it is a loss of 5 on the penalty for the United States. Again, Jalen McClendon, the signal caller here on the second drive of the night for USA. Says he wants to be a broadcast journalist after his football career is over. That may signal the end of one of our careers.
Yeah, could be.
Said he learned his work ethic from his mom. And, you know, when we got to hear from these young men, so many of them, it wasn't even a question, who do you credit your success to? It
Parents.
was whether it was 2 parents in the household, 1 parent in the household, such great role models for them, leading them up to this spot. 3rd and 11 and whistles once more.
And one thing that we have seen today, all day today, Lincoln, are penalties. So we've seen a lot of yellow today. It's usually the case when you see teams that haven't been playing together for a while come together for the first time in a game situation. So we see another delay of game penalty. But you can rest assured that Coach Faircloth is going to address this situation and get it fixed very quickly.
United States began this drive on the 33-yard line thanks to their defense, setting up a short field. Now, back-to-back delay of games. Part of it, they've only had 1 week full of two-a-days to get everything implemented. And you've got a quarterback and center who have not worked with each other until this week. Trying to make something out of nothing. Just back to the original line of scrimmage, a gain of 6. It means 4th and 10 from the 44. Be a 51-yard field goal try. Probably too close to punt. We'll see if the USA squad tries to pick it up here. As ultimately the stop made by Luce Roy.
Very nice.
Out of Sherbrooke, Quebec.
Very, very nice. That's actually a really, really nice play by McClendon. His footwork was incredible, avoiding the pass rush and getting about a 7-yard gain. So McClendon making it into, well, it's 4th and 10, and field position is always very important. But like you said, making something out of nothing, it was a really athletic play. And we're going to take a look at it right here. Watch McClendon, as the defenders converge on him from the outside, steps up, finds a couple of holes, and gets about a 7-yard gain to make it 4th and 10 rather than what could have been 4th and about 20. So McClendon, we're going to follow in the footsteps of Russell Wilson, one of the best improvisers in the game, just won a Super Bowl. I thought he was going to get the MVP of the Super Bowl. I didn't. You know what? I was glad a defensive guy got the MVP, but I was almost certain they were going to give it to Russell Wilson.
You know, in these parts, Russell Wilson is known as the guy that the Rangers recently drafted.
Right. He was drafted.
Ballpark at Arlington, just down the street.
Sure. He was drafted in the 4th round, I believe, after his junior year at NC State. Went on, decided baseball wasn't his thing, came back and won a Super Bowl.
4th and 10 coming out of the timeout called by USA. Looking for it all right here down the far sideline, and that pass broken up. Tremendous coverage by Canada, as among the duo on that coverage, you had both Bouchard as well as Booten.
Yeah, trying to get it to your playmaker in Blacknell and just underthrown a little bit. And as we said earlier, the conditions not really conducive to airing it out here tonight. There's a chill in the air, a bit of wind going in the opposite direction. But they keep going at Blacknell. He's going to make some plays for you, for sure.
So turnover on downs. Quarterback for Canada is Hunchak once again. And they'll keep it on the ground on 1st and 10 and pick up a little over half of what was needed. It's Cedric Joseph once again with the carry.
Cedric Joseph, a part of the CEGEP, Champlain, Lennoxville team.
A lot of the Canadian players that we saw earlier today, not part of the national program, but from British Columbia and various other clubs. We saw them wearing different helmets based on whatever their home club was, but this is the national team of the United States against that of Canada. USA thought there was movement on the line. It doesn't matter as the defense wins the battle of that line of scrimmage and pushes the Canadian offense backwards.
That's big. Harrison Phillips, the defensive lineman, headed to Stanford University from Omaha, Nebraska to Millard West High School.
And a chance for the defense here for USA to step up with another big stop, see if they can force a 3 and out. It is 3rd and 7 from the 36-yard line for Canada. Canada with a sensational showing a couple summers back at those World Championships. And unmarked was the blitzing defensive end. Getting in the face, it's Deontay Thompson. And it was actually the defensive back who was lined up right there on the line of scrimmage. He's getting to play this game not too far from home in his home state of Texas. Now, he's out of West Orange Stark in the greater Houston area, and he'll be playing for Nick Saban this fall.
He will. I believe Niles Sykes also coming off the edge there. I think that might have been Niles Sykes, a linebacker committed to Notre Dame, firing off the edge, getting after the quarterback and creating a hurried situation, getting Team Canada into a 4th down, and this punt is enormous.
This ball muffed. It is a live ball. Need to fall on it, and USA will finally do exactly that, but it was not the initial return man. Instead, for the United States, it's Christian Lezer.
And Christian Lezer really doing an excellent job of being aware, getting on top of the football. That could have been really, really dangerous. You know, muff punt cannot be advanced, but still it would have given Canada the ball in some really, really favorable field position.
So USA's defense, again, able to answer the call.
And Lincoln, part of the process here for USA football includes attending various regional development camps. They start in about a couple weeks here in Dallas, Texas. Then they're in Austin. And then we will go on throughout the month of April and May. And we will end in Seattle, Washington, and Denver, Colorado. You can go to usafootball.com to register.
Yeah, great development process. This ball loose. And Canada will try to scoop and score. We wait for the indication, and now the confirmation. Canada has a lead inside 6 minutes to go in the opening quarter. The first to reach pay dirt as defense puts 6 points on the board.
Really just a miscommunication there as we're going to take a closer look at it here. The motion and just didn't get it into the stomach of the running back. I believe that's Chris Durkin in at quarterback for Team USA. And then falling on it in the end zone is number 50 for Canada. That is Cedric Lucia-Roy.
And so an extra point here for Canada, looking to stretch it to a 4-point advantage. And they will do exactly that. USA's offense is about to get this ball back, all of a sudden trailing by 4. But you do see one of the side effects of assembling a team and just having 1 week of practice together. I noted earlier I'm surprised there aren't more center quarterback issues.
Right.
That time you saw miscommunication whether the quarterback would keep it or leave it with the running back.
And I think a lot of the times you see these teams get together, a lot of the coaches are going with the gun. So they're going in the gun. A lot of high schools are doing that. A lot of centers are more used to snapping from the shotgun, and running backs and quarterbacks used to just maneuvering from the pistol formation. But the timing of it, that's where practice really comes in with the timing of the motion and whether or not you're going to keep it or give it away. I'm sure Durkin had a run option on that as well. He's an outstanding runner. He had over 1,000 yards rushing this year in a shortened season in his high school. So that is just, sometimes that's the way it works in the conditions like it is. I hate to keep saying that. And as you said, not having a lot of time working with his receivers and running backs.
You're watching live coverage of the 2014 International Bowl here in Arlington, Texas. Arlington situated between Fort Worth and Dallas. It's the home of the Dallas Cowboys as well as the Texas Rangers. as we are live from the campus of the University of Texas at Arlington at Maverick Stadium. Now, UTA has not actually had a football program since back in 1985, but they maintain this facility. A lot of high school football takes place here on Friday nights, as this is Trey Mosley on the return. Mosley, another young man out of that Austin area from Pflugerville.
Trey Mosley headed to Nebraska to be a part of that black shirt defense. And Nebraska had a very young defense this year. Mosley looking to take advantage of the opportunity that is given to young players coming up in that Nebraska program for Bo Pelini.
Yeah, tonight he will instead be squaring off against a team wearing the red and white. As Canada, thanks to that defense, has a touchdown to a field goal advantage. Chris Durkin will step back out onto the field, and we talk about just the immeasurables of these players, but you also look at the measurables. Great size, flag is down, and it's a false start against the United States. Chris Durkin, a 6'4", 234-pound quarterback out of Youngstown, Ohio, and certainly Youngstown has been the source of some great football minds and players over the years. Durkin will head off to play for Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech.
Talk about some of the coaches from Youngstown: Jim Tressel, Mark D'Antonio, the Stoops brothers.
Inside of 6 to play in this first quarter, looking to get around the edge and able to do exactly that. Now needs some blocks along the far sideline. On what was 1st and 15, it's about 13 yards on the ground for Jonathan Hillman.
Jonathan Hillman headed to Boston College, going to get into that BC running attack that produced a Heisman Trophy finalist this year in Andre Williams. You see him cut to the outside and a nice burst up the middle. Oh, Jonathan Hillman showing what he can do in that Steve Adazio Vitamin A offense.
2nd and 1, so many options here. They'll pick up the first down, now looking for more. As the Canadian defense swarms around Charles Nelson, the 5'9" target. Nelson, out of Florida, has committed well on the opposite coast to head up to the northwest to Oregon to become a Duck.
And it was funny seeing the coaches in the conference room yesterday, Lincoln, talk about Charles Nelson. Their eyes lit up. They immediately got into a much better mood, and they talked about just the unbelievable weapon that he's going to be. Coach Calgo looked at me and he said, yeah, you might notice him tomorrow. So he is headed to Oregon, and he is exactly a huge fit in that offense.
United States trailing 7-3 after a miscue on their last drive. Led to a fumble recovery, and Hillman with another touch here. Hillman this past fall played his final year for St. Peter's Prep in Jersey City.
St. Peter's Prep, of course, in that really tough conference, including Don Bosco Prep, Bergen Catholic, some of the best schools in the country, Paramus Catholic, DePaul. Really good football up there in North Jersey.
2nd and 4, and you see 5 wide. The spread offense that became so popular here in the Lone Star State and has taken the nation by storm. As they pick up close to what is necessary, and it appears they then get an additional yard. They go back to Hillman, a different look this time for Hillman.
Hillman showing what he can do out of the backfield, not only running the ball, but catching the ball as well. Really multiple back. Big, strong kid, too.
So it sets up 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line. United States has yet to be able to punch it in this, the U-19 ball game. New format this year, as it is USA versus Canada in a series of 6 games ranging from the U-15s, which we saw earlier today, up to U-19. We'll have 3 games tomorrow following this, the 3rd game here today. A handoff on the end around. And United States knows they have speed aplenty, trying to turn the corner there after they hand off to the receiver, Nelson.
Yeah, Charles Nelson, Brandon Faircloth, the head coach of the U-19 Team USA, coaches at Port Neches Grove High School, said that if he had him in his offense in high school, he'd have 100 catches this year. Easy.
Yeah, Port Neches, that greater Houston, East Texas region.
Nelson from the great state of Florida, Sunshine State.
We could use some of that.
I thought I was going to get it.
You see the mobility, trying to keep this play alive. On 2nd and 2, a collision, and it's a question of whether he was able to exert his will again. Chris Durkin can take a shot like that and push the pile a lot of the time. With 234 pounds, 6'4" frame, but they are going to say he is shy. He did not win the battle against the 3 converging Canadians.
Look for him to keep it once again, get it himself.
Nothing too fancy. The lead blocker, Durkin, looking for more. Durkin looking for the end zone. He'll have the first down, and he'll be marked down at about the 4-yard line.
Coach Beamer likes his big boys at quarterback. Logan Thomas graduating this year. Durkin coming in to be a Hokie next year. And Durkin, one thing you can never, ever question is this guy's toughness.
You just run that play again right here.
Yeah,
First
use your 6'5"
goal.
frame.
No flags down. United States has its first touchdown and has reclaimed the lead. As 9-7 with an extra point pending.
And just when you have a 6'4", 6'5" quarterback, you just give it to him and just tell him to fall over if you're that close. But the offensive line for the United States doing a tremendous job getting a huge push on the line of scrimmage and really leading the way down the end of that drive. Now they take a 9-7 lead.
Alex Spence played ice hockey until he was 17 years old. Talking about the kicker here, decided to focus full-time after that on football. The salutatorian at his school, Florence, in Florence, South Carolina. Wants to be an academic All-American. This is a live ball after the tip as Canada has a chance to put 2 points on the board and tie it up. But it's all or nothing. The dive for the pylon, and they are going to mark him short.
Whoa.
And just like that, the United States will be kicking off here in a moment to Canada with a 2-point lead. As, again, you certainly don't envy the officials having to keep up with the speed boasted by these two national teams.
And I think that really affected
Nathaniel Rostick, who was able to take it almost the distance.
Lincoln, that was almost a 4-point swing. I know that because that happened to me in college. You can return it back for 2 points. End up losing us the game for crying out loud, but an excellent hustle play on the count of on Team USA, led by Blake Mahan, the tight end that is going to Baylor University next year. Really almost could be a game-saving tackle there. It's an outstanding job of being aware of your surroundings, knowing what's going on the field, and making a play.
Tom, this has been an eventful first half, and, well, only 9 minutes has elapsed so far.
And portions of this first half brought to you by St. Vincent Sports Performance, defining sports performance. Stubbs, legendary barbecue sauce, made right with all natural gluten-free ingredients. And Marriott, the official hotel partner of USA Football.
So a lot of you probably looking at things wondering, well, why does Canada not have the ball at the 2-yard line? Again, they're on the extra point in untimed play. It's all or nothing. You either get the score or you simply are back to return as if, well, nothing had happened. So United States is kicking off with its second lead of the night, this time by 2. Matthew Betts among the young men back.
Got for number 47,
along with Cedric Joseph.
Big Greer Martini, headed to play the linebacker at Notre Dame next year. He is just one to the right of the kicker, and he is really an outstanding tackler.
Again, Alex Spence to kick off. Young man, when he's not kicking, is stretching nonstop every chance he gets. From the 20. And headed the wrong direction. This is a game where if in the high school football season you've had the ability to run back 10 yards to gain 30, you're not going to get away with that tonight, regardless of whether you're playing for Canada or USA with the speed out there.
Too much speed on the field on both sides of the ball. It really is remarkable. And you see that on the kickoff coverage. Just swarming from all ends of the field, getting to the football is really, really, really something to see here. And you said Alex Spence spends a lot of time stretching. I spent the whole break between the 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock game stretching just to remain comfortable here in the broadcast booth at Maverick Stadium.
Reaching for one box lunch, reaching for another box lunch as Brett Hunchak is in, a quarterback for Canada once again. It's 1st and 10, but the officials will sort this out. Had a chance to talk to the officials as they certainly look at this as a privilege. You see that flag down, and it is a procedure call against Canada. It'll back them up 5 yards. Very easy adjustment for these veteran officials. Again, the rules almost identical to the NCAA. They just pointed out, you know what? Slightly shorter ball game.
Yeah, that's it. 12-minute quarters, everything else, NCAA rules. NCAA overtime, if we were to get there, ball gets on the 25.
Almost saw overtime in the previous game featuring the U-16s, the high school freshmen. Run to the left. Good blocking in place. Needs to get to the 37-yard line for the first down. That's Cedric Joseph. Canada looking for some continuity right now and letting their starters get a rhythm.
Yeah, and in the game for Team USA at nose tackle, big number 55, Trey Lealai Matafau, headed to LSU next year and just causes an absolute pandemonium at the football. Really not fun to block. If you're a center and you have this big guy in your face, it is just a really long day for you. And he affects every single play no matter where it goes on the field.
Trey was one of the young men who made his decision late, ultimately signing with Les Miles in LSU. Coach Miles would not care for the taste of the grass here at Maverick Stadium. Canada will move the sticks right up the middle, as that time Ilnicki out of University of Alberta. Trey again out of San Antonio at Warren High School, part of that school district where most of the schools named after Supreme Court justices.
In the game, we see at corner at the bottom of your screen, Alonzo Saxton Jr. headed to Duke University next year. Coach Cutcliffe has that program in the right direction, I would say.
4 wide, a balanced set here out of the shotgun. Looking for the slot. Blocks are in place, but somehow able to shed his blocker and make a stop. That time, the USA defender, I believe the credit belongs to TJ Harrell, the young man out of Tampa, Florida, and he's going to be part of that group that heads up to Michigan State this fall.
Yeah, Michigan State doesn't really know what to do with him yet. They know they have an excellent talent. They don't know if they're going to put him at running back, receiver, outside linebacker. He's playing safety here today, a little bit of corner. So, a good problem to have, I would say.
2nd and 6 after that 4-yard pitch and catch. As Canada, question is, was there movement or will this be encroachment against USA? Our officials talk it over. So the United States trying to sell contact. Trying to sell that there is movement on the line that induced them into the neutral zone, but nothing doing. So that's going to go from 2nd and 6 now to 2nd and 1 here for Canada. See if they keep it on the ground and try to muscle it in. They will take the snap under center. Lone tailback and the ace back has enough up to midfield for the first down for Canada to keep this drive moving.
It's a simple power play there, a pulling guard. Not enough push on the line of scrimmage there to keep them from getting a first down. It was a good defensive play, but looks like a first down pending here for Team Canada.
Ilnicki was stopped by Greer Martini. And I will go ahead and backtrack. Illegal formation on Canada. And that takes it back to 2nd and 6 for the Canadians.
So a big kind of momentum boost there. Deflated with the penalty. So that'll bring up 2nd and long now.
We've had a couple of lead changes already in this ball game. A field goal, a touchdown for the United States, added up for 9 points. A missed extra point try that was almost taken back for a 2-point conversion by Canada. Canada with a defensive touchdown in this ball game, looking for its first offensive points and trying to stretch it around the corner that time. Great job, Greer Martini, making this stop out of Woodbury Forest, Virginia. He'll be part of the Fighting Irish.
Greer Martini, sideline to sideline, as good as you can do it from the linebacker position. Identify the run, excellent angle of pursuit, making the tackle for a loss.
And again, on that carry that time, you saw Travell Pinto out of Toronto.
Greer Martini's father played at William & Mary. So he's got football in his blood.
3rd and long. tip drill, and the United States can't pick it off, but they'll be getting it back here, forcing a punt. It'll be 4th and 7, as Normandine was the intended receiver.
I believe Vincent Jackson might have gotten his big paw on that one. One of the big standout linebackers here. Another one here on Team USA, headed to South Florida.
Yeah, he gets to stay in his home state of Florida, growing up in Tampa.
Him and Taji Fulmore.
Charles Nelson standing back at the 12-yard line for USA. Pressure on the punt, and it is deflected. And no matter what, this is USA's football, and it will be 1st and 10 for the United States at the 24-yard line. We've seen offense, we've seen defense, and this time special teams. Nick Ruffin comes through for USA.
And there he is. Been waiting to call his name all game long. Nick Ruffin, committed to Auburn to play for Gus Malzahn and that national championship runner-up Auburn Tiger team. And they're going to love to see that kind of work on special teams. Just a really electric athlete who plays corner. He can make some tackles, and he can make big plays like that for you when you need it.
Ruffin, the 6-foot senior this past fall for St. Pius X Catholic out of Duluth, Georgia. Tyler Uyghur's in at quarterback, and, well, you go to another 6'4" quarterback if you're the national team for the United States here with the U-19s. Uyghurs cannot elude the pressure in his face from the Canadians. The big defensive tackle as flying through a couple of young men that included Bill Aziz from St. Thomas, Ontario.
Yeah, I think just a quick swim move there, getting out in front of the offensive lineman, and just kind of a miscue on the offensive line for Team USA.
So Canada able to put some punctuation on the end of that first quarter. 12 minutes complete, but the Canadians trailing USA by a pair.
And that first touchdown, the only touchdown on the day, scored by Chris Durkin, the Virginia Tech Hokie. We got to talk to him Wednesday morning at the signing day.
Chris Durkin, play quarterback, and I'm going to Virginia Tech. I decided to go to Virginia Tech to have a chance to play early, playing under a legend and Coach Beamer, and the ACC is a great conference.
Certainly is a great conference, produced this year's national champions, putting an end to that run, boasted by the SEC over the years. And USA football has been working closely with some of these conferences, Big 12, Big 10, Pac-12, all a part of the Heads Up initiative. And it's spreading throughout the high school level as well, playing this sport right and smart. As we see Samaji there, a talented young man, one of the two Pflugerville natives on this squad, with yet another touch, the first here of the second quarter.
Yeah, and it really goes back to the speed of the players on the Canadian defense. The screen executed nicely by the offensive line here for Team USA, but able to retrace their steps was the Canadian defense and really just get all over Perrine before he was able to break one.
Samaji Perrine dropped for about a 4-yard loss. It's 3rd and 14 here in the start of the second quarter. A forward pass out into the flat, and Canada again just swarming to the football. Excellent coverage after Charles Nelson was able to make the catch. So Canada is going to force a 4th down situation here, not a favorable one for the United States. The USA does have one successful field goal here tonight, and they are going to send Alex Spence in that leg of his back out there.
And he will be kicking with the wind. It's starting to pick up a little bit. Just under 11 minutes to go here in the second quarter. So we'll see what Spence can do. Looks like Uyghurs is going to come back out.
Yeah, they're going to keep it with the offense here on 4th and 13. Would have been a 45-yard field goal. End around option pass. They'll fire it downfield. Need to get to inside the 15-yard line, and they do not. Instead, Canada forces turnover on downs. We'll have a 1st and 10 from the 20. As that time, well, they went with Chachi Luce, the receiver who also has a few other skills as well, as we saw on display there.
Yeah, Chachi hitting Avery Edwards on it, and he was open, and they got a good look from the defense. It was man coverage. They had one high safety, I believe, but he was aware enough to come up and make a play on Edwards. Edwards unable to break the tackle and break free. But that is a play that they've been working on all week long, and they trust Chachi to make that throw. It was a little bit short of the first down marker, so a little risky there, but still a decent throw from wide receiver.
Short pass straight ahead for Canada. We'll point out that time the reception made by Normandy. And Luce did not have a very long drive. He is from Lovejoy High School, Lovejoy Leopards. He's made a commitment also to stay pretty close to home. He'll be playing Division II football in the Lone Star Conference at Texas A&M Commerce.
And they just got a steal. I got to tell you, Texas A&M Commerce is very, very happy. He is going to make that coaching staff very, very happy for 4 years.
A couple minutes into this second quarter of play, as Canada faces a 2nd and 6. And they'll keep it simple, a run to the right side. And it's a matter of who can get to the 28-yard line first. Canada wins that battle. Cedric Joseph, we've seen quite a bit of the young man for Canada, and more often than not, he gets the job done.
That was Micah Thomas on the tackle for Team USA, headed to the United States Naval Academy. The 6'2", 250-pound linebacker out of Cedar Park, Texas, to Vista Ridge High School.
This will not help USA. Extra 15-yard lines, as Sykes, the linebacker, will be called for the unsportsmanlike conduct. And you see the 15 yards being assessed. You talk about signing with the Naval Academy. Gets to show up in the fall saying, I've represented my country already a little bit, but happy to do so for another 4 years here in school, and then perhaps the commitment afterwards.
Right, no, and I know it's a tough week here in some cases, but not sure if it's going to compare to what he's got looking ahead of him here at the Naval Academy. But as all of the players have said all week, it's been an outstanding opportunity for Micah Thomas.
1st and 10 for Canada. Again, the quarterback right now is Brett Hunchak. He goes with the handoff that time for no gain, as the United States wins that battle in the trenches. As again, we see the big man from San Antonio shining bright, the future Tiger at LSU.
As you said, Big Trey making his decision a little bit late in the process, but making one coach with various forms of wizardry very happy, and gives him another new tool in his arsenal.
You're watching the 2014 International Bowl here in Arlington, Texas. Past couple of years, the International Bowl has taken place in Central Texas, about 3 hours south of here in the Austin area. Keeping it on the ground, Hunchak looking to stretch, and fortunate that he was able to hang on to that football after that pop. He'll be a yard shy, but impressive run, a little improvisation by Hunchak. Charles Grant was the one who was able to stick him shy of the marker. Grant from Mesquite, right here in Texas.
Charles Grant headed to Arkansas State, former home of Gus Malzahn and Hugh Freeze, I believe.
Yeah, right now Brian Harsin, the head coach, who's now leaving for Boise State. So Arkansas State's had some good head coaches come through there.
That's like Central Michigan. Yeah. So either way, going to get to continue his playing career and continue at a very high level.
He'll do it in the Sun Belt Conference. UT Arlington, a member of that conference, just not participating on the gridiron. He can tell his teammates, I played on UT Arlington's football field. Jalen Jelks involved on that last play. Jelks, 6'5", 250-pounder out of Phoenix, and he too will be an Oregon Duck next fall.
Jelks playing that defensive end position. Oregon had a top 5 pick at that very same position in Deion Jordan. So a team that loves to throw the ball and loves to move the ball. Maybe it's kind of a misnomer that they're a throwing team, but they love to move the ball and they love to score a ton of points. Not really known for their defense. Jelks is really looking to change that.
Well, it was a big stop. Again, you see special teams out there. As Charles Nelson standing back on his 10-yard line for the United States. This time they do not get a hand on the punt. Nelson at the 11 has had some issues. This time recovers. And we'll see if he is able to, well, add to his highlight reel. Nelson is off to the races and will not be caught. There are no flags down as Charles Nelson will take it in for the touchdown, and now flags fly in late after the play.
Charles Nelson bobbled it a little bit at first, but when he caught it and he saw some room to run, watch out. He got some key blocks at the end. An excellent read of a block on the sideline, cuts it up the field at about the numbers, gets back to the sideline, and then it's just all bets are off. We see the kick-out block right here, cuts it inside, and then a huge block to finish it off, and it looks like we're going in fast forward. Ladies and gentlemen, that is true-to-life speed from Charles Nelson.
If we were playing two-hand touch, that would be a touchdown.
That's a really good point.
6 of them. As Nelson takes it in, the United States at the moment leads by 8. Their largest advantage with 6:58 to play in the opening half. And we know there's speed out there, and how often, actually a little bit more often than you would think, you see a young man bobble the football and actually plays into his favor.
Yeah, it did.
Everybody coming rushing in on him mistimes their pursuit.
Yeah, he converged a little bit too quickly, and by the time he gets the ball, he's in a different area with a little bit more space, and that was it. And we have another blocked field goal here.
Another failed conversion for the United States. Canada a little bit less of a threat this time to take it the other way for 2.
Right,
and the physicality continues away from the play as another flag comes in now.
There's just a lot of passion on the field here. It's a really tight game. It's a physical game, and you see a lot of people that really care about winning.
This will be assessed on the kickoff. Dead ball foul, and we'll figure out against whom.
And as we figure out the penalty situation here, I just want to tell you that today's broadcast brought to you by Gatorade, the G Series, Prime, Perform, and Recover. Cutters, there's no other glove that performs quite like Cutters. And Tyson Fresh Chicken, serve chicken that's farm fresh, serve Tyson chicken.
Well, USA has now stretched its lead to 8, 15-7, a couple of failed extra point tries, but something that's going to concern the coaches at halftime is some of the extracurricular activities that have drawn these flags and cost them some yardage.
Yeah, and it's been a week. They've been practicing twice a day all week long. They had the jamboree. They didn't participate in the jamboree Wednesday night, so this is their first time back on the field for some of these guys since November. So I can tell that they're getting a little bit more excited. They're getting really excited, and sometimes you just have to control it a little bit. But so far, it's been somewhat of a clean game. 15-7 is the score. You wish they would convert on those 2 extra point opportunities, because now it's only a 1-score game.
Canada should come out of this with tremendous starting field position. The United States will have to kick off from the 20-yard line. Traditionally, this ball would be kicked off from the 35 at the amateur level. And actually, they will take it farther back, so it's back to the 20 for the first foul, then half the distance to the goal on the second foul. They say 2 separate fouls, and you can accept both of them if you're Canada, and they do.
Well, they might as well just punt it from here.
Yeah, it is not a free kick like on a safety. You don't have that option. They'll tee it off. There's a good chance Canada gets to start around the 35 at the very worst, just like they did in that jamboree back on Wednesday.
I don't think I've ever seen this before. All the way back to the 10-yard line.
Well, it's rare you see multiple personal fouls and sportsmanlike conducts that can be tacked on to one another. The United States is pinned back.
And Alex Spence really gets to show off the boot here.
Hopefully he did some extra stretching. It's a low driving kick, and this could turn out great for the United States. This one over the head of the returner, Joseph. And just like that, wow. Canada will be held back to the 42-yard line. Now, in the grand scheme of things, good starting field position, but it could have been a whole lot worse.
Could have been a lot worse. And really, I don't know if Spence could have done a better job with that. It was a perfect trajectory on the kick, and at the same time, it was high enough for his teammates to get down there and defend it. That was a really well-executed play in a really dire situation.
Brett Hunchak remains your quarterback for Canada, trailing by 8. That's still 1 score, of course, with the possibility of a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Hunchak will line up again under center with 4-1. has the protection, now runs right into the pressure. He ran himself out of the pocket and right into the arms of Enoch Smith Jr.
Enoch Smith Jr. headed to Michigan State, the #1 defense in the country, and that's the biggest reason why he's going there. And Coach Narduzzi is going to be really, really happy with that.
And now a flag comes in late after the play.
And this is Enoch Smith just sticking with the play as the pressure got to be a little bit too much. And again, we're seeing a little bit too much excitement out of Team USA.
Well, and that negates the play in its entirety as Canada will pick up a first down now in USA territory. 1st and 10 from the 45-yard line. Hunchak out of the shotgun. 3 receivers up there at the top of your screen. And premature. We saw this from some Canadian teams earlier today. Receivers getting an early jump. And that time it cost them.
Yeah, one of the biggest adjustments, Lincoln, is the motion. You can't motion towards the line of scrimmage. It's something that's been ingrained in their head during their normal seasons. And it's something that they just have to stop when they come and they play international competition. So sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get used to it.
So we are seeing the yellow flags grace the field about every other play here in the second quarter. Canada on 1st and 15. And the defense continues to shine for the United States. That time it's Dylan Thompson, the future Buckeye.
Dylan Thompson. Been waiting to see him come out all day long. We watched his video during the signing day breakfast, and half of the Strive Network team just left AT&T Stadium out of straight fear because this guy is an imposing figure. He strikes absolute fear into his opponents, and Urban Meyer is getting a pretty mean dude when he gets in between the lines, who's going to be an outstanding force for that Ohio State defense.
He had 35 tackles for loss this past fall, 17 sacks, and you can understand why J.J. Watt is the man he would like to meet the most.
Yeah, I mean, would you want to block him?
Well, Dylan Thompson says, pregame ritual, don't talk to me before the game.
Oh,
and I don't think
totally
anybody's going to talk to him if he doesn't initiate the conversation. Dylan mentions something we wouldn't know about him as a young man. He's now 6'4", 271. He said he was very tall, but skinny, scrawny. Compared himself to a baby giraffe.
And then he was introduced to steak.
So it is 2nd and 18 coming up for Canada. With this second quarter moving a bit quicker with 5.5 minutes to go. A holding call being assessed against Canada. And it's back to the 40. Well, you talk about these players haven't been able to do much since November. The officials haven't been able to utilize all their calls and hand signals since back around that time.
Yeah, that's a good point. A little bit of rustiness, I guess, all over the place. But the officials have done a fantastic job so far today.
Canada is on their own 40. They need to get this ball to the 35 of USA for a first down, as it is 1st and 25. It's about to be 2nd and 23. A flag comes in late. It's either a face mask or a holding, and it's Trey Mosley in on the stop.
And we see the U.S. defense being able to retrace their steps as well as the Canadian defense a couple minutes ago on the other side in the first quarter. But this was a well-designed play and a good reaction to a blitz by the Canadian offense. And this is going to come back. Or no, it's not going to come back, but Team Canada issued for a hold, and it is going to be declined by Team U.S. But Team USA doing a fantastic job defending that screen with a blitz on.
The United States could have made it 1st and about 35. They opted to keep the result. 2nd and 23 coming up.
And Lincoln, something that you alluded to earlier in the broadcast are some of the fantastic alumni that have been part of the USA football program. A couple of them have made their way into the NFL. The Alumni Spotlight brought to you by Upper Deck. Collect the best. Since 2009, 8 former Team USA players gone on to play in the NFL. David Wilson of the New York Giants, you see there. Cardinals defensive back Tyrann Mathieu. Aaron Dobson and offensive lineman Brian Winters among them. And then if you look at some of the alumni that are currently playing in the college ranks at a very high level, none other than Jameis Winston, the Heisman Trophy winner, national championship winner at Florida State, Ty Montgomery, playmaker out of Stanford, Jackson Shipley, a receiver out of nearby University of Texas. And there we see Winston once again, Heisman Trophy winner, national championship winner, member of the 2011 U-19 team, playing this very event in the International Bowl for Team USA.
2nd and 23. They'll toss it behind the line of scrimmage. It's about to be 3rd and 24. And among the Americans getting in there, Taji Fullwood, the 6'2" cornerback out of Tampa.
Taji Fullwood electing to stay close to home with his buddy Vincent Jackson. And I'm seeing some great play out of the corners, great recognition, avoiding this block. It's a tunnel screen being helped out by Trey Mosley. But Fullwood, that's really his play there. And that's just a great job of being aware of what's going on, making a decision, and going full speed.
And remember, it's the United States that penalties had backed them up on the 10-yard line for this kickoff. As a timeout here will, with 4:30 to go, stop play. 15-7 in the ball game right now.
And portions of today's game brought to you by Marriott, the official hotel partner and VIP hospitality sponsor of USA Football. Marriott is the official hotel partner of USA Football and the U.S. national football team. Special thanks to Marriott for their support of USA Football and the national team program.
It's been fun to see over at the Marriott here in DFW, all 6 USA national teams under one roof. Doesn't make for an easy elevator necessarily when you need it, but a lot of young men keeping up with their schoolwork, but also a lot of playbooks that they need to learn.
Yeah, I saw some swimming going on and a little bit of dancing outside the pool last night too. And I'll tell you what, I was getting a little bit fed up with people taking the elevator one floor. All right, it's got to be 2. There's a minimum of 2 floors if you're on an elevator.
Life lessons that will be learned. 3rd and a mile. And they keep it on the ground, and it's now 1 mile and 4 yards. Harrison Phillips that time in the backfield making the stop. Yet another young man at 6'4", he out of Omaha, and will soon be part of the Stanford Cardinal.
Yeah, and he's going to play for Coach Shaw up at Stanford. And if you look at some of the defensive linemen that they've had this year, just an outstanding play and a great tackle. Team USA doing a great job tackling. But you look at Brett Gardner, you look at Trent Murphy, Blake Luters, that defensive line for Stanford really led that team all season long. Harrison Phillips gets to be thrown right into the mix of that.
Punt into the pressure. Charles Nelson hoping for a repeat of the last performance. And now he's immediately telling all of his teammates to get away from that football. United States will be happy with a 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line.
Yeah, it's been really fun watching Charles Nelson kind of living up to all of the hype that we've been hearing all week. Clearly established as the go-to guy for Team USA. And Team USA, the U-19 team, has had some really valuable time this week under some really excellent coaches. John Shannon, the wide receiver coach out of Biloxi High School. Gary Salgado out of Angelo State. Noel Scarlett, former NFL player. Verone McKinley from Prestonwood Christian. Central McClellan from American Heritage. Danny Calgill, Foley High School. And Joe Dale Carey and Brandon Faircloth, both from Port Neches Grove High School.
Lines judge on the near side throws a flag. At the moment, it would be 2nd and 5 for the United States. Jalen McClendon back in at quarterback. The product out of Charlotte.
Kind of get the feeling, too, in talking to Jalen, watching his video, he doesn't want to really be known as a dual-threat quarterback. He wants to be known as a guy that can read defenses, that has great feet in the pocket, a great arm, and can really dissect a defense. But that could also break a 70-yard run if he wanted to.
First and 5 after they take the penalty instead of the play to maintain the down, half the distance. Great protection and just as good of a route as able to strike downfield for USA that time and able to find Charles Nelson.
And Jalen McClendon with an outstanding throw in the pocket. You see his really strong arm there, finding Nelson wide open. And if you're Team Canada, you got to account for Nelson on every single play because they might go to him on every single play.
This time the snap back to the athletic quarterback, McClendon. And if he doesn't want to be known as a dual threat, he needs to stop running for 9 yards on first down.
And we got a chance to hear from Jalen McClendon at the signing day breakfast. Here's what he had to say.
Jalen McClendon, quarterback, NC State. I'm more of a pro-style quarterback, drop back pass first, but I can take off and run too.
USA looking to stretch this to a multiple touchdown lead, finally taken out of bounds at the 2-yard line. That's Justin Jackson, the running back out of Carroll Stream, Illinois, and he'll be staying at home, going to Northwestern.
Yeah, he'll be playing his college football in Evansville. Is it Evansville or Evanston, Illinois? I'm not sure.
It's a touchdown is what it is for USA. And punching it in is McClendon.
Jalen McClendon really leading that drive. He had an excellent throw. Charles Nelson and a great run on a design draw play right immediately after that completion. And as I was confused as of what the town is that holds Northwestern University, McClendon done a fantastic job.
People in Evansville can send their letters to you.
Okay.
2:12 to play. Canada led this game in the first quarter 7-3. Since then, it's been all USA, but it has not been all extra points. The past two have failed, and this one will be wiped off the board. It's a false start on USA.
Justin Jackson with a nice run to set up that touchdown run. If you look at some of his highlight tapes, you'll see him almost start off in slow motion when he has some room to run. And when he sees a hole, he's just gone. Period. He was the Illinois Gatorade Player of the Year 2 years in a row at his high school, and so Northwestern is getting a pretty decent factor back in Jackson.
Again, Spence to try this extra point, ranked number 2 in his class of 385 students. A great balance of student and athlete, and a nice balance of splitting the uprights. As 22-7, USA stretches its lead to a pair of touchdowns.
Yeah, USA really comfortably moving the ball down the field on that drive. They have so many weapons. We've seen Jalen McClendon being able to take off and run. We also see Justin Jackson, one of 3 running backs here. We saw Hillman earlier in the game, Samaje Perine, who started the game off. They have an abundance of opportunities to move the ball down the field, especially with Charles Nelson, who found himself wide open. We caught up with Samaje Perine at the signing day breakfast, and here's what the Oklahoma-bound running back had to say.
Samaje Perine, running back, the University of Oklahoma. I chose Oklahoma because it just felt like the place for me. You know, they're graduating 3 running backs, and felt like that was the best time for me to go in and, you know, try to establish myself.
And Perine pronouncing his name as Perine and convincing everybody that that's really how you pronounce his name. But Perine, Hillman, Jackson, a great 1-2-3 punch for the U-19 USA football offense. And Spence about to kick this one away. We saw an outstanding kick from his own 10-yard line earlier in the game, and set to receive Matthew Betts and Cedric Joseph.
So 2:12 remaining here in this opening half as Canada will look to try to get something positive going again. It's Cedric Joseph. As Joseph is able to bring it out across the 25 to about the 27-yard line. Canada will have a little over 2 minutes to work with, and another yellow object came flying in, I believe, late.
Yeah, but I really want to mention the special teams MVP of the first half, and that's without question Christian Lezer. You want to talk about Charles Grant's punt return for a touchdown, that's fine. Christian Lezer has two tackles on a kickoff, one of them bone-charring, and then he has a fumble recovery off of Nelson's muff punt earlier in the game. So Lezer really making his opportunities count when he gets on the field here for Team USA.
Canada is charged with that unsportsmanlike conduct. Ball will go back to the 14-yard line. Remember, Canada's touchdown was scored by its defense. USA's defense pitching a shutout. And they would like to keep that intact going into the locker room here in a couple of minutes. Rolling out to the right. Just an option down the near sideline. That ball not catchable. There won't be a flag for the contact as the intended receiver, Pinto, had run out of real estate on the near side.
And Trey Mosley was breathing down his neck there. Eventually wound up knocking him out of bounds. The receiver and Dylan Thompson breathing down the quarterback's neck there, as you can see why he would force some hasty decisions.
Sets up 2nd and 10. Clock stops with that incomplete pass with 1:58 to go. And Canada has struggled to get things going on offense as of late. Last leading this ball game 7-3. Since then, 3 touchdowns for the United States. A couple on offense and 1 on special teams. Montemiglio will factor in on that last play. And a timeout called for the temporary stoppage and play. And while we have this opportunity, let's remind you about Play 60.
NFL Flag, powered by USA Football, is an exciting way to get into the game. NFL Flag is fun and fast-paced, emphasizing football, fitness, fundamentals, teamwork, and sportsmanship. Leagues are easy to start and open to both boys and girls ages 5 to 17. All NFL Flag players receive a USA Football membership as well as an official NFL team jersey, flag set, and insurance, an incredible value. Coaches receive a USA Football membership and insurance as well. So sign up now to become a better player and have fun with NFL Flag.
And that's a reminder that USA Football is about so much more than just the national and international competitions. Great programs for the youth as well. 1:47 to play. That is a first down connection for Canada to keep them on the field as they are able to find the open receiver, Normandine.
Normandine, an excellent route on that play. He started out with a post technique and broke the route off right in the middle of the coverage, wide open, and wisely gets down so Team Canada can come up and run another play quickly with under 2 minutes to go here in the first half.
Yeah, after they move the sticks, clock starts moving once again inside of 90 seconds. Canada conservatively keeps it on the ground, looking to churn out some yardage as they go back to one of their 2 feature backs here today, Ilnicki.
And this defensive line for Team USA has really just been their strong point this whole entire game. As you said, they are pitching a shutout. Team Canada not able to get anything going on the ground here. So in this weather, tough to get your quarterback going, and it helps out if you have a decent run game. Team USA has just been as stingy as they possibly can be.
Hunchak, the quarterback, the native out of Calgary, comes in with the play call on 2nd and 5. Hunchak had good protection, also had an option out there, a little safety blanket to his left, and he will drop it down for another first down as he goes right back to Montemiglio.
Montemiglio out of the CEGEP View Montreal team out of Montreal, Quebec. 42 seconds to go here, and we will have a timeout on the field.
Alonzo Saxton made that stop out of Bishop Hartley in Columbus, Ohio. You mentioned future Duke Blue Devil.
And one of the initiatives that we alluded to earlier that we're going to continue to talk about throughout the broadcast is the Heads Up Football Initiative.
What's the most important thing? Driving for about 2 yards. Okay, you guys ready?
And we will have a chance later on in the broadcast to check in with USA Football's Senior Director, Nick Inzarello, discussing that heads-up football initiative, something you've probably heard about throughout the NFL season. And a first down here for Canada, 35.9. And for a team that doesn't get to spend a lot of time together, we'll see how they handle this hurry-up drill as the clock starts moving once again.
Yeah, probably not a lot of audibles learned this week.
Just one timeout remaining for the Canadians. They'd love to get to the sideline, but first you got to catch that football, and that was not an option that Trey Mosley was putting on the table.
Trey Mosley has been extremely physical today. Only stands at 5'10", 175, but plays like he's about 220 with the confidence of Cam Chancellor.
So 2nd and 10 following the incomplete pass. The silver lining is that the clock stopped 23.8 seconds. Canada looking for its first touchdown or field goal, and we've got movement. That's likely to be a false start. It is on Canada. Moves them back as the clock will stay right where it was.
Team Canada has to spread it out here and find some of their receivers, as we will see the movement here, a little harder count. And then we'll throw the flag on Travell Pinto.
Yeah, we've seen several receivers throughout the day get called on it. Of course, you've got one of the easier jobs as a receiver. You can actually get a visual and see that ball be snapped. Not even a matter of having to know the count.
Yeah, but maybe the Team Canada receivers are just so excited at the opportunity to get the ball. Hasn't come their way too much this evening. So it could be due to some overexcitement.
Quick release, great route, and that's the perfect play right there for this situation. Able to connect this time with Cartsonis, the young man from Montreal.
Kareem Cartsonis, CEDEP Notre Dame de Foy, of Montreal, Quebec. As you said, a great route, some great hands as well, and the wherewithal to get out of bounds under 20 seconds to go.
Now, Tom, you'd think they'd love to at least be in field goal range. Their dilemma is they would be kicking into a stiff wind.
Yeah, I'm not sure if field goal is on their mind right now. They're going to try to get into the end zone if they can.
And it would certainly be a longer field goal here. Again, that clock will continue to tick down, and that may very well prove to be the final play. No, Canada will burn its final timeout.
Dylan Thompson, Jalen Jelks, Lealai Matafau helping out on that play, all up in the quarterback's grill, and that's not a fun place to be.
It is if you're the defensive line.
Right.
With 12.2, Canada will try to figure out how to make the most. And this will help. And you have just heard one of the newer rules. Jalen Jelks, that is his second unsportsmanlike conduct, and as a result has been disqualified from the ballgame.
So the referee's definitely making a statement here. That kind of stuff won't be tolerated here on the International Bowl field. And still a game here. Now Team USA gives Canada a couple extra yards here, and they could actually get into field goal range. 12 seconds to go here. They don't have any timeouts left, so they're going to have to go with some passes to the sideline and see if they can get into the end zone or at the very least make it a very manageable field goal.
It would be 47 yards into the wind from here. A rifle right into the secondary of USA. They'll look to take it all the way back as the United States will at least keep Canada off the board. And the first half will come to an end on the interception by T.J. Harrell.
T.J. Harrell with today's first interception, and he thought about taking it all the way back into the end zone. This was just a poor read by the Team Canada quarterback, and Harrell was right there to make a play.
USA proudly runs back to the locker room with the American flag in tote. Canada will head to the locker room as well. 24 minutes complete. The United States leading Canada in a battle of the U-19s, 22-7. You're watching the 2014 International Bowl.
At USA Football, creating a better, safer game is our #1 priority. The second annual Protection Tour, part of USA Football's Heads Up Football initiative, is a series of free, one-day events for players and parents that delivers expert-driven health and safety education focused on teaching proper tackling fundamentals, equipment fitting, and concussion awareness.
We need to go out here, start this thing from the bottom level, teach these young athletes, these 6, 7, 8, 9s, how to tackle properly so they can grow up playing the game the right way.
Supported by corporate partners Riddell and AIG, the 2013 Protection Tour impacted more than 2,300 youth football players and parents in 5 NFL markets throughout July and August. Events were hosted by the San Francisco 49ers, Dallas Cowboys, Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings, and New York Giants. At each Protection Tour stop, players were introduced to the 5-step heads-up football tackling technique and participated in various football tackling drills, while parents learned about concussion awareness and proper helmet fitting. Each player was measured and sized for a helmet by a Riddell equipment expert to show parents the proper helmet size and fit. Protection Tour stops also included interaction with current and former NFL players.
The concept of team, working with others, and working collectively towards one goal. I think those are life skills, not just football skills. And, I really think that football teaches you more about those skills than any other sport that there is for kids to play today.
7-time Pro Bowl receiver Larry Fitzgerald of the Arizona Cardinals served as the Protection Tour's national spokesperson and conducted a media tour in New York City, appearing on numerous national television and radio shows to promote the events.
There's free tours all around the country at many NFL sites that are teaching proper fittings for helmets and shoulder pads, concussion education, and also proper tackling techniques, which is so important at the youth level.
The Protection Tour teaches young athletes the proper way to tackle and engages parents in the learning process. An educated and engaged youth football parent makes for a better, safer game.
United States leads Canada at the half in a battle of the U-19 programs, 22-7. Canada's lone score, a defensive touchdown, as the defense of USA has been near flawless here this evening. We come to you live from Arlington, Texas, sandwiched between Fort Worth and Dallas, as we're on the campus of University of Texas at Arlington at Maverick Stadium here this evening and for this weekend's International Bowl. And, well, the reason why we are here, Ronnie Price from Experience Arlington, President and CEO, and right off the bat, Experience Arlington, I know you look for events like this, ways to bring people here and share the opportunity to be a part of Arlington.
Oh, absolutely. You think of, I think you start thinking about football in general and look at, how we look at the sport around the nation. Texas is known as kind of the mecca for the sport itself. And as you start zeroing in, and you think of what Arlington has to offer, this is where champions come to play. You talk about the National College Football Championship coming in, and next year, obviously, our Dallas Cowboys. And so we are a place where champions come to play, and we like to consider ourselves that championship city. So I couldn't think of a better opportunity to host this game right here in Arlington.
Talk about champions. Of course, some American League championships over there with the Rangers. You've seen a Super Bowl come to town in that stadium just down the way where these young men were back on Wednesday. From a non-sports standpoint, Experience Arlington, what the overall mission?
Yeah, but basically what we are is we are the Convention and Visitors Bureau for the city. So it's our job to market and promote this destination worldwide and work with a number of different entities and sponsors in the city. So obviously we're right here at University of Texas at Arlington. Great college and university right in our backyard, hopefully going to Tier 1 status very soon. But we get the opportunity to work with great partners, and obviously another one that's a sponsor of this game here tonight is the Dallas Cowboys. So we have a lot to promote and a lot to tell people about it around the world, and it's our job to get them here and keep them here in Arlington.
A lot of great folks at USA Football. What was the pitch to help bring this here? They've been in Texas a few times, some stops in Central Texas, about 3 hours south of here in Austin and Round Rock.
Well, just like what I said, you look who has stepped up to the plate and said, we want you here. the Dallas Cowboys, University of Texas at Arlington, obviously the city, and us stepping up and saying, we want you here. We don't just want you here this year. We want you here as much as we can in the future as well. So hopefully this game turns into a tradition for us right here in Arlington.
Do you have a favorite moment here early on? I know you've brought some family with you watching football in February.
You know what? The favorite moment is actually my son's here with me, and we got a chance to walk down to the sidelines, and you see these kids that have come out and to take part in this game. Just see the pride that they carry. I mean, they're wearing their country on their chest, and so they're playing more than just their personal pride, but they're playing for their country as well. And I got to tell you, these guys are great looking athletes. I was just looking at some of them. They're going to put some weight on to these frames, and they're going to be monsters when they get in out of college here pretty soon.
Well, because of you, many people in the city of Arlington are going to be able to see some of these familiar names down the road and say, I think I saw them at Maverick Stadium back in the day when they were representing the 3 letters of USA. Well, Ronnie Price of Experience Arlington, thank you very much. Fantastic host. USA Football and Experience Arlington seems to be a great marriage between 2 wonderful organizations, and we look forward to the culmination here this weekend.
Thank you so much. Pleasure being here.
Again, United States right now at the half, leading Canada in a battle of the U-19s 22-7 here in Arlington, Texas.
College football stars of tomorrow are being built today thanks to the support of Tyson Fresh Chicken and Stubbs Legendary Barbecue Sauce. Tyson is the presenting sponsor of the USA Football Tailgate Tour, a salute to top high school student athletes selected to play for the U.S. National Football Team. The USA Football National Team program boasts a star-studded list of alumni, including New York Giants running back David Wilson, Florida State quarterback Jameis Winston, Georgia running back Todd Gurley, and Stanford signal caller Kevin Hogan. This fall, the USA Football Tailgate Tour made 14 stops across the country to honor student athletes selected to participate on U.S. national teams. Tour stops featured visits to high school pep rallies, pregame jersey ceremonies, and tailgate parties prior to games, featuring Tyson Fresh Chicken samples prepared with Stubbs Legendary Barbecue Sauces and marinades.
Oh, very excited.
Yeah,
we are so proud of him.
He's a really hard worker, and everything he does, he goes 100%. And he's also a good kid, a good student, just all around a good with a tackle for the Highlanders.
Tyson and Stubbs made sure that fans walked away with giveaways, had the chance to enjoy interactive tailgate games, and hosted special meet and greet autograph sessions with current and former NFL players, mascots, and cheerleaders.
This is great atmosphere. I mean, it reminded me back of my high school days, just reminiscing just at this moment. And I mean, those guys are lucky to be out there, even though I'm in the NFL. That was still one of the funnest football times in my life.
Basically because these guys play their hearts out. You know, I mean, it's big. You know, every kid needs to know that they're doing well. Getting these type of things is like really important, and it's going to propel them, you know, to all types of new heights, new goals. It's like, hey, I really accomplished something, and everybody likes accomplishments.
Each of the high schools involved were honored to have the Tailgate Tour visit their school and were great ambassadors for the Tyson and Stubbs brands.
Well, St. Rita football, we're in our 102nd year. The energy here for football games is always great, but Tyson Chicken being here tonight added a lot of flavor, and I know everybody enjoyed sampling the chicken, seeing Desmond Clark, Staley. You know, it was a great night, a great addition to the atmosphere.
It was delicious. I tried every flavor barbecue sauce. I'm from Texas, so I like my barbecue. It's nice. It brings more attention to the school, which is ultimately what we want, is to get the word out about Lutheran North.
In total, the Tailgate Tour impacted more than 30,000 high school football fans in 10 markets from September through November, distributing more than 15,000 Tyson Fresh Chicken samples. The Tailgate Tour had its own microsite featuring a tailgate recipe contest, and tour stops were promoted on usafootball.com as well as other USA Football social media channels, including Facebook and Twitter. Thank you to Tyson Fresh Chicken and Stubbs Legendary Barbecue Sauce for your support of USA Football's national team program and for helping to create lasting memories for these great athletes.
You're looking at the field here at Maverick Stadium as the United States has been running up and down that field. Speed and talent on display among the young men who played their senior year of high school football this past fall, made their college commitments official this past Wednesday nearby at AT&T Stadium. Well, a moment ago, we heard from Ronnie Price and Experience Arlington. That's half of the equation. Of course, the other half, USA Football itself. We're joined by Senior Director Nick Inzarello. And, well, Nick, I'm sure you're enjoying watching this football because not only are there talented individuals, but good fundamentals as we're seeing here tonight.
Yeah, there's no question, Lincoln. The coaches have done a great job this week preparing their kids to play. We're seeing a lot of great tackles on the field, great heads-up tackles. Kids using their shoulder pads, keeping their head up and out of the play when at all possible. They're playing hard, and they're playing fundamentally sound football, which is what we want to see.
You said heads-up tackles, and even before folks tuned into the USA Football coverage this week, chances are they have already heard about it, at least in part, even from just the NFL and college football seasons.
Sure. The Heads-Up Football program is USA Football developed to make sure that we're creating a better, safer game. And we're proud of what football is doing to take a leadership position, that now we're saying coaches need to be certified and trained to teach the proper fundamentals. Also, we want to make sure that coaches and parents and players are educated on signs and symptoms of concussion, as well as proper equipment fitting and heat emergency preparedness. And so those things all together, and coaches getting certified, we're proud of the efforts of what our coaches are doing at both youth and high school levels now. And football is continuing to evolve, and we want to make sure that we're protecting our game.
Yeah, it's a sport that is beloved not only throughout the country, but of course we got to speak to Ronnie Price from right here in Arlington. He emphasized the Texas roots of a lot of this. They would hate to see football ever go away, and a big part of it is to preserve the game, making it safe, and also looking out for the well-being of these young men. It's already successful, but you all are really watching this thing blow up in terms of expanding coast to coast and continue to grow.
We are, and you know, it comes back to parents are asking more questions nowadays than they ever have. You know, about what activities they want their children to play, and football is certainly under the spotlight. And that's where we think, you know, parents should be asking those questions. They should be asking those questions to youth organizations. What do you require your coaches to be certified or not? And so the program has really expanded. We started with a 3-organization pilot 2 years ago, and last year we had over 27 youth organizations adopt the program, so about 27% of the market. And then we also expanded into high school. We conducted a 35 high school pilot across the country. We had one school district, Fairfax County Public Schools in Northern Virginia, adopted the program. And now it's really taken a life of its own because Heads of Football is really being supported and endorsed by all levels of football. You know, we've gotten support obviously from the NFL, but 4 college conferences, the American Football Coaches Association, as well as the National Federation of State High School Association. So they all care about the sport. They want to put their best foot forward and help the game.
Again, we're joined by Senior Director of USA Football, Nick Inzarello. And Nick, before we go, if I'm a parent, have a kid about to get the pads and helmets ready to go for this summer, start playing football in the fall, what's something I can do in the next couple of days, even next couple of weeks, to get them ready and make sure that I'm informed?
Yeah, I think the first thing that we want them to do is just go to usafootball.com. And right there they can determine whether they're the youth organizations in their community are a Heads Up Football League, and ask the questions, you know, does their organization require their coaches to be certified? What are they doing to create a better, safer game for their youngster? And whether it's tackle football or flag football, we just want kids out there playing. It's a great sport. It's coached by so many great volunteers, and then on the high school side, we care about our sport, and USA Football is there to support it.
Nick, thank you very much. It's a great reminder that USA Football is more than just about the national teams, but about America's game as well. Thank you for joining us here at halftime. Right now, the U-19 program is leading Canada here in Arlington 22-7, moments away from kickoff to start the second half.
For me, I always had to do things the right way. I could never get away with doing things just so-so or almost all the way. I had to do everything perfectly. You see me, I'm not a big guy. I'm only about this tall. You know, I probably should have never made it to the NFL. Everyone always looks at me and says, "You played in the NFL?" I say, "Yeah, I know I'm small, but I have a big heart." And I've always heard that, but one thing I know that helps me is doing things the right way. Proper technique, proper study habits. I didn't always have the physical gifts, but the controllables, the things that I could control with film study, with technique, perfect form, perfect tackling, that's what gave me an edge, because I was willing to do everything completely and fully the right way when others maybe just started to slide by. That was my equalizer. That's what allowed me a chance and an opportunity to play the game.
And welcome back to the University of Texas at Arlington. Thanks so much for our guests that we had here at halftime. Let's take a look at some of the first half stats. This is presented to you by Sports Authority. 3 receptions, 40 yards, and 1 punt return for a touchdown from the electrifying Charles Nelson, the slot receiver, headed to Oregon. Justin Jackson, 2 carries for 31 yards. The running back headed to Northwestern University. Chris Durkin with the touchdown for Team USA. He had 3 carries, 17 yards, and a touchdown, along with Jameel McClendon, 3 carries, 17 yards, and a touchdown for himself. And a nice throw to Charles Nelson on that great drive that was also aided by a good run from Justin Jackson. The defensive line has had 3 sacks, and Lincoln, the defense for Team USA, it's only a 2-score game, but this defense makes it seem a lot bigger of a lead than it really is.
Well, remember, it's a defense that's been pinned back a few times as penalties have mounted up, allowing Canada a couple of short fields, but each time the defense got that ball right back, whether it be a turnover or simply a 3-and-out over to the offense for USA.
Yeah, and it's really been that defensive line that has been supplying unlimited pressure on Team Canada, and they are really, really doing a great job of pinning, like you said, pinning the Team Canada offense back, firing off the football, and just being a complete nuisance. They affect every single play. They may not make a tackle or a sack on every single play, but they affect it, and they alter the decisions that Team Canada has to make, and they are just creating such a fuss for this Team Canada offense. It really starts at that foundation, the defensive line, and we've seen some great linebacker play as well, but really where it's been at for the entire first half for Team USA has been that front 4.
Both teams about to take the field for kickoff here in the start of the second half. As we remind you, this is all part of a 2-day festivities at the International Bowl. It features 6 national teams for the United States, featuring 6 Canadian squads, including the national team for Canada, your defending world champions from a couple summers back. Canada with the upset in that gold medal game against the United States. As we are live from Maverick Stadium in Arlington here tonight on the campus of the University of Texas at Arlington. A new format this year with the International Bowl, USA versus Canada. It used to be USA versus the world, a little bit too much of an exhibition feel with all those teams from various countries supplying players for one squad against USA. They wanted it really to feel like an international competition, country versus country, nation versus nation, and these are 2 of the powerhouses right here worldwide.
Yeah, I don't see anything about what we've seen in the first half that says exhibition at all. Yeah, they're having fun. Yeah, they're excited. Yeah, they've been really passionate. But there is nothing that says exhibition. Both of these teams want to win, and they are playing with an energy that is unparalleled so far. Both teams, I'm not just saying Team USA, Team Canada has been outstanding in terms of their energy and their enthusiasm on the sideline, on the field. This is a really competitive ball game so far, and shaping up to be a pretty good second half here.
Joseph and Pinto will be back deep here in a moment for Canada when the United States kicks off and gives the football away to start the second half. United States 3-1 in previous international bowls. Coming off a win last year in Round Rock, Texas, just north of Austin.
Your stomping grounds.
Yeah, not too far from the capital city.
You a big music fan, Lincoln?
That is the live music capital of the world.
That's
in
what I
Austin,
hear.
Texas. It is a very diverse community. It has a little something for everybody, and I believe the city limit, the city population is now full.
Okay.
According to some traffic down there, if you want to move there, you need to convince a couple people to leave. But thrilled to be in Arlington this week as part of these festivities with USA football. As again, this one over the head, it'll be a touchback once that ball hits the end zone, and that means Canada will simply set up now with their first play of the second half with a 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line.
So far, been really impressed with Alex Spence. I know that he had a couple extra point attempts blocked, but his kick when they were pinned back on the 10-yard line was really impressive. And they just boomed this one out of the end zone. A nice kick for the ACC-bound place kicker.
New quarterback for Canada, Dante Dijon out of St. Francis Xavier University up in Calgary. We'll see if the change can get something going and light a spark here for Canada. Its offense has been shut out in this ball game thus far. Canada did lead 7-3 at one point in the first quarter, but more of the same, a pile-up at the 20-yard line, a whole lot of red, white, and blue.
And leading the way there, Harrison Phillips once again, Stanford-bound defensive lineman Vincent Jackson helping out on the play as well. And this defensive line for Team USA has been absolutely relentless.
Sets up 2nd and 10 for Canada. As we get this third quarter started. From the 20-yard line, need to get to the 30 to keep things moving. This time they'll keep it on the ground, have not had much success running between the guards, let alone the tackles, and more of the same, just right back to the original line of scrimmage. As that time you can credit in part Harrison Phillips among those able to make the stop.
And I'm looking at the defensive backfield now because I know we're giving so much love to the front four, so I'm just kind of trying to pay attention to what the defensive backfield is doing. And if you look at Nick Ruffin, just such a high understanding of the game, is able to disguise his coverages 2-3 times. He'll make you think he's in man. He'll make you think he's in cover 3. He'll make you think he's in cover 2. He gives you 3 different options as a quarterback, and then right when the ball's snapped, he goes to where he's supposed to be.
A little sidearm sling into traffic, and this ball is picked off. And USA, right in front of their bench, will celebrate. The defense has done it again. The offense will set up 1st and 10 from the 30 in Canadian territory. Deontay Thompson, the one to get that ball back.
Nice ball hawking job by Thompson, the Alabama commit. He is the only junior playing here today for Team USA, the U-19 team. And a nice athletic play off the deflection to get Team USA the ball back on the 30.
And a tip of the hat to Tanji Fullwood, who got the deflection to keep that pass alive, pulling the old Richard Sherman.
And we got Durkin in the game at quarterback, and he's going to run with it to start this drive off.
Chris Durkin, again, one of those 6'4" options. An 8-yard gain. As he'll take it within 2 yards of the 20. And what a start for USA coming out of the locker room, and it's from a familiar source, the defense.
Yeah, and I've got to tell you, Chris Durkin, just if you're a defender as he breaks this tackle.
Yeah, he'll pick up the first down at the 20, and now it's Durkin one-on-one. Durkin lowers his shoulders and plows forward inside the 3-yard line.
And I was just going to say, if you're a defender and you have this guy coming at you, you don't really expect a quarterback, maybe nowadays a little bit more, but you don't really expect a quarterback to bring this kind of weight and strength with him when he's carrying the football. A lot of times you think you have a free shot at a quarterback, you're going to go after him. Now you have to absorb a hit from somebody the size of Cam Newton, and you're just like, what else can this guy do? It's not even fair.
6'4", 234. He's not a dual-threat quarterback. He is a health threat and well-being threat if he's coming your way. 1st and goal from 3 yards out. This time he'll share the rock and just continuing to turn those legs down to about 1.5 yards shy of the goal line. The carry that time by Hilleman.
Jonathan Hilleman trying to get into pay dirt for his first time today. And I would look right back at Durkin to go once again find a seam up the middle.
Canada declined making some late adjustments, and now movement. We'll see which side was the guilty party. Obviously, if it was Canada, you just move that ball about 1.5 feet. Instead, the United States will back up 5 yards. Remains 2nd down, and 7 to go on 2nd and goal.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a buzzkill there as they were really rolling offensively, but they've been moving the ball with ease so far here on this drive, and look for them to go back to the legs of Durkin.
Again, Chris Durkin, growing up in that football hotbed of Youngstown, Ohio, trying to lead another scoring drive. Taken around the edge. Canada gets to him in time at the 6-yard line. As that time on the carry, it's Charles Nelson, who's been quite busy offense and special teams here tonight for USA.
Yeah, they're going to get the ball into his hands. Coach Faircloth said last night, if we lose, it won't be because Charles Nelson didn't touch the ball enough. So this coaching staff, as the country will be in a couple of years, extremely impressed with Charles Nelson.
Scoreless here in the third quarter. USA outscoring Canada 22-7 in the first half. Looking for its first points here in the opening 4 minutes of play in the third period. Durkin rolls out, stands in, willing to take a hit, and just fires one into his receiver. Avery Edwards, the tight end, almost out of self-defense, had to catch that football as he puts it on him in a hurry.
Avery Edwards, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill commit, getting into the end zone for the first time today, getting open. It's his second catch of the day, and Edwards into the end zone and make it a 3-score game.
Avery Edwards this past year, 7 touchdown catches, a little over 600 yards receiving as a tight end, a converted safety and wide receiver. Imagine the 6'5" gentleman playing safety coming at you. And after some struggles on extra points, the United States makes good on their first try here in quarter number 3. Well, the first possession belonged to Canada. An interception by USA sets up the short field for the offense, and they make good, now leading by 22.
Yeah, so the defense once again putting the offense in excellent position and starting off an excellent drive here, being orchestrated by Chris Durkin, eventually finding Avery Edwards in the end zone. As you said, Avery Edwards, a converted receiver and safety. You never really hear of a tight end that's played tight end his whole football career. You know what I mean? It's like catchers in college and in the pros are usually converted shortstops or second basemen. Tight ends are just athletes with great hands with some height that maybe you can put some beef on and teach them how to block a little bit. More often than not, you see really athletic, tall guys being converted into tight ends rather than somebody just being born a tight end.
Edwards, the 6'5" target who made that catch, and no surprise, the player he'd like to meet the most would be Rob Gronkowski. He's had some success.
A little bit. But Avery, I have to say, Avery can put together a couple sentences a little bit better than our man Gronk can.
Avery has a cousin on the Panthers, Curtis Whitley, and Avery is an intense young man, says he can't fall asleep unless he goes out and has a workout first.
Oh, I wish I had that problem, Lincoln. Sadly, that is nowhere near my priority list.
Too busy with your stretching routines.
I'll stick with the hamstring roller before I go to bed.
I'll stick with the ham sandwich. 8:07 to go here in the third quarter, and there were a lot of questions coming into this game because Canada has been impressive in recent years in these matchups. We mentioned they got the better the last time these two teams met for the World Championships a couple summers back in Austin. And it's understandable that as this game grows, Canada would be one of the first to catch on.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's becoming a very, very popular sport in the country of Canada. You know, they play different rules, but there are a lot of Canadian players that are coming into U.S. high schools now. For prep schools, they allow postgraduate years, so you see a lot of postgraduates. I know especially in New Jersey, where we're based out of, we see a lot of teams that accept Canadian-born players or student athletes into the school to play a fifth year of high school football to get acclimated with the American version of the game and go on to play in college. And now college football in Canada is growing as well.
Dante Jean remains the quarterback for Canada after the interception on that last drive. The handoff on first down to Ilnicki. Ilnicki and Joseph really have been the two primary backs for the red, white, and black of Canada here this evening. Just a modest yard, and it'll be 2nd and 9. So Canada with a turnover on that last drive led to a touchdown for the United States. And USA defensively and offensively clicking, and of course special teams more than carrying its own weight for the red, white, and blue. Jean is going to have pressure in his face and just one hops to the receiver. Now, perhaps fortunate no flag comes in for a late hit, but it'll be now 3rd and 9 coming up. On the coverage, Trey Mosley.
Yeah, it was Niles Sykes providing the hit there, showing a little bit of physicality. But you see in the game for Team USA, number 52, Rennell Wren, who is committed and signed on to play at Arizona State next year. Arizona State boasting a really formidable defense this year, especially defensive line, with Will Sutton being one of the top pro prospects in this April's draft. And Wren said that they are graduating 9 defensive players and looks to contribute right away.
Premature movement again by a wide receiver for Canada, looking to win a battle up at the top of the field on your screen, and that's going to cost Canada now, making it 3rd and 14. They need to get the ball to their own 38-yard line to keep this drive alive. And pretty soon they're going to need to be able to find a way to put points on the board offensively.
And it's not helping their cause with all of these penalties on the offensive side of the ball. This U.S. defense has been stingy enough. Team Canada can't keep shooting themselves in the foot.
3rd and 14. And movement that side on the right side of the line. Whistles came first, then the flag. And you'd be a little more frustrated if these teams had been working together year-round and 4 years, for multiple years. But, again, national teams assembled. They don't get everyday work together. They all have various schemes they come from. You mentioned earlier, you want to simplify and make sure that everybody's on the same page. And you're almost surprised you don't see more issues with a quarterback-center exchange, among other fundamentals.
Hey, just getting used to a cadence can take a couple weeks. If a quarterback has a hard count, if he has a soft count, if he goes on 1, if he goes on 2, you never really know. Something that you really have to learn through playing with him.
Jan rolls right, again has pressure, and will throw it at the feet of a receiver. So no grounding calls. He gets it back to the line of scrimmage, looking for David Blaine. Blaine out of Montreal.
And it looks like they are going to award Canada with a 15-yard penalty and a first down on Enoch Smith Jr. with a little bit of a late hit.
Enoch's had some good plays. That one will cost United States as Canada gets the automatic first down, even though the penalty yardage would not have been enough on its own. We'll point out that Enoch was the flag bearer for the United States during the national anthem. These young men, every game, every sporting event they go to, they hear the national anthem, but it means a little something different when you wear the 3 letters on your chest.
I would assume so. That's a really great honor. It's something that you earn throughout the week by showing some good character, some coachability, and really being somebody that the rest of the team gravitates towards.
So with a bit of a gift, a free first down for Canada, they stick to the ground as this time Josue Cote out of Quebec will take the ball forward for a 5-yard gain up to the 39.
And you mentioned the flag bearer for Team USA, the captains, Samaje Perrine, Dalton Risner, center from going to Kansas State, Nick Ruffin headed to Auburn, and Greer Martini headed to the University of Notre Dame. We've seen from all of them so far here today.
We'll note that for Canada, the flag bearer was Garrett Meek out of the University of Saskatchewan from St. Albert. Cote will pick up 3 of the 4 yards needed. It's going to be 3rd and 1, and usually you like 3rd and 1 if you're an offense, but USA, we'll see if they can dig their heels in here and get this football back.
Yeah, you don't really like situations that lend themselves to running the football against this Team USA defense, and if you'll see in there, if you look closely, you won't miss number 74, Craig Evans, 6'2", 313-pounder from Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, headed to Michigan State.
See if the quarterback keeps it under center. USA wouldn't jump, and instead they lose yardage on the handoff, and that's the danger of doing anything other than the quarterback keeper, as Craig Evans once again shining bright, the pride of Wisconsin.
You can't pull a guard when Craig Evans is covered up because he is so quick, he will find himself in the backfield eating your lunch. Who would eat 87 bagged lunches? Craig Evans would eat 87 bagged lunches.
Charles Nelson is standing back at the 20 for the return. And this is not a clean snap. And a flag will come in, likely just for running into the kicker, but we'll have to wait and see. The problem is you don't need roughing the kicker. It was 4th and 5. This foul will at the very least carry a 5-yard penalty.
Well, too many flags on the field here today, Lincoln.
It is running into the kicker, but the result is a first down. And you and I joke about the penalties, but the penalties are penalties.
Right.
It's just a matter of the discipline of these two teams.
And Craig Evans, we just saw him make an excellent play on the field. Let's hear what he had to say before signing day.
Craig Evans, defensive tackle, Michigan State, go green, go white, hashtag Spartan Savage Squad. Fans can expect that defense being on point like it was last year, so, we ain't finna let up. I'm not finna go there. I'm gonna pick up where they left off and hopefully be better. So we gonna try to go from a Rose Bowl to a national championship.
4:37 to play here in the third quarter. That defense of the United States, well, they thought they had a couple of stops, but Harrison Phillips and company, who gets the stop there, have prolonged this drive for Canada with some, unfortunately, poorly timed penalties. So the offense of Canada remains on the field trying to answer that touchdown that USA scored on its last possession.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if this USA defense really has a problem with being back on the field because they are having so much fun today and really just having their way with Team Canada.
You think they get bored watching the offense, that they wanted to stay out there a little bit longer?
I think so.
2nd and 11. Jan will throw it wide of his receiver, and probably that's a fortunate thing. Otherwise, the receiver, Ilnicki, the running back out of the backfield, was going to take a pop from Trey Mosley.
All right, Trey Mosley wisely led up.
Yeah, that comes into the play of defenseless receiver these days.
Right. And, part of the heads-up football program, too, is having a deeper awareness and understanding of the rules of the game as they keep evolving and keep changing. One of my favorite parts about the program is really educating the youth on what these rules are and how they're going to change as the football game grows.
3rd and 11. We'll see if USA can finally get its defense off the field. The answer, no. Canada this time with one of its better gains on offense of the night, as T.J. Harrell finally makes the tackle, but David Blaine, not an illusion, it's a first down.
Oh, way to go. That was outstanding. But you know what else was outstanding was that throw from Dijon. Stood back with a kind of a three-quarters delivery and just fired that over the middle. An outstanding throw, threading the needle.
From the 39 of USA, Canada eyeing its first points on offense tonight. And picking up nice yardage, 4 yards up the middle. That time the carry from the third running back, Cote. Credit Vincent Jackson on the stop.
Haven't seen a lot of blitz packages out of the Team USA defense. Everything that they've done has been pretty basic so far. A lot of zone coverage out of the defensive backs. But, just playing straight-up defense, they've been doing pretty well so far. Haven't really had to do anything fancy.
From the 35-yard line, trailing by 3 touchdowns. Good protection. Almost too good. In fact, a flag comes in late. A strike would be for a first down. A block downfield, and now more flags come in. So we'll have 1 flag for holding, and we'll wait to see what the subsequent laundry is for.
I think the flag down here near us towards the end of the play was that illegal crackback block, a rule that was put in largely because of Hines Ward making that a habit for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it was laid by number 1, Hergy Mayala, and it looks like that will be a personal foul at the end of the play as he took a beeline towards number 21, Justin Jackson, who was able to sustain the hit. So it looks like this one might be coming back.
We'll let the professionals in the stripes sort all of this out.
Sorry, that was number 31, Alonzo Saxton.
Again, you're watching live coverage here in Arlington, Texas of the 2014 International Bowl. Yeah, ultimately a better scenario by accepting the initial foul, holding a spot foul in the backfield, then allowing the play, and then assessing the personal foul. So the United States just had the option of taking 1 penalty, and this will back Canada up. It'll be 2nd and still not too bad. 16 yards to go from the 44. Remember, this is Canada's first drive of the second half, following that interception they threw on their opening drive, I should say. But a sustained drive thanks to 2 separate penalties by the United States when they otherwise were going to get off the field, get the ball back to the offense. And they go back to Cote on the carry. And another flag is down, and we'll get it sorted out again.
Defensive backfield doing a great job coming up and making tackles for Team USA here. Just as the backs thought that he had the outside, thought that he had the edge, you have people coming down and making plays from all over the place. And just to remind you, portions of today's game brought to you by Riddell, Protect and Perform, by Sports Authority, all things sporting good, and by Shock Doctor Sports, the leader in mouthguard technology.
Another USA player picking up a second unsportsmanlike conduct foul, being ejected. And that is a new policy again from this past fall. You saw it a few times on Saturday nights at the college game. Sometimes one of those unsportsmanlike conducts, or both of them, or for continuing play with your helmet off, a safety call that still would keep players from playing the rest of the ball game. A little nuance, but it's all with the safety in mind and, of course, sportsmanship. As here's another one of these flags.
And I'm not sure if this is for intentional grounding. Didn't look like Dijon was outside of that tackle box. And I'm also not positive there was a receiver in the area. And it will be a grounding call.
Yeah, if he can't get outside of the tackles at least for a moment, that ball needs to find its way reasonably within a receiver past the line of scrimmage. And not the case there. Instead, they'll go back to the spot where the grounding occurred.
And Lincoln, if you're interested in trying out for the U.S. national team, if you're watching and listening, spending 2 days receiving coaching and instruction by current NCAA college football coaches, come out to one of USA Football's regional development camps. Go to usafootball.com to sign up.
This the lateral back along the 50-yard line. On 2nd and 28, Canada will chip a couple yards off of that deficit as Tristan Dice makes the play out wide and gets out of bounds on what will be officially a run. Tom, you were talking about those developmental camps. You were mentioning some of the coaches. Because the NCAA recognizes USA Football as the governing body for the national football teams, this does not count against high school athletes towards their exhibition, towards their all-star games. And it also means college coaches, it is permissible for them to interact with these players at these camps so they can get some of the best education out there. Another turnover forced by this defense. Stepping right in line was Vincent Jackson between the quarterback and the receiver. Jackson hauls it in.
Vincent Jackson really just in the right place at the right time, and it lands right into his chest. I'm not sure what Dijon was looking at there, but Vincent Jackson making a play and letting everybody know why he was such a highly touted recruit.
Most importantly, no flags on the play.
Just dropping into some standard coverage there. And Dijon throws it right into his chest, almost in stride. Trying to force it into the slot receiver. Jackson's not going to drop that one.
With a 22-point lead, we introduce you to Tyler Wiegers at quarterback. Another 6'4" signal caller. He out of Detroit. He'll be an Iowa Hawkeye in the future. And his first pass, a dandy. Downfield, as he's able to hit his big target, Ishmael Zamora. And Ishmael on Wednesday morning signed to be a Baylor Bear for Art Briles. Zamora out of the Houston area at Elsick High School, out of Beyonce's backyard.
And Zamora had 3 pop culture references by Lincoln Rose today. But Zamora headed to play receiver for Bryce Petty, who is also a USA Football alum. Record-setting quarterback out of Baylor.
Carry and shedding tackles for a 3-yard gain when he could have been stopped at the line. Again, Samaje Perine with the carry. This should be a well-rested offense after spending the amount of time they have as we have played almost the entire third quarter with the USA offense on the bench. We're inside about the final half minute now. There's a forward pass into the backfield. On 2nd and 8, breaks a few tackles. It'll be 3rd and about 4. Charles Nelson with yet another catch tonight.
Charles Nelson is having himself a Wes Welker, Peyton Manning offense-esque day today. And Uyghur is doing a great job of releasing very quickly and exhibiting his really strong arm. Uyghur's headed to the University of Iowa, attributes the reason for him going to Iowa a lot to Greg Davis, the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach there at Iowa. Developed an outstanding relationship with him throughout the recruiting process.
Greg Davis, former quarterback coach for Colt McCoy, Vince Young, and various other Longhorns who have gone on to the NFL out of Austin, was part of that championship run in Austin. Tommy Mister with that last opportunity for the United States. We're talking about Zamora and Elsick High School. It's an interesting situation there in that A-Leaf school district. Elsick High School is actually right next to its rival Hastings High School. They literally share the same tract of land, and so it's simply a lottery for kids coming out of middle school to find out where they're going to wind up going to high school. Imagine you're practicing on your practice football field, and right next to you is your rival with their practice field right next door.
And he looks to continue his success off at Baylor University. Here he is.
Ishmael Zamora, wide receiver, Baylor University. Baylor football is something exciting, something with a lot of energy in it. Something that gets you just wants to play and just want to be a part of a great team and just do a lot and just be with a whole lot of people that want the same goals as you.
Recently, his high school's produced some NBA players, including Rashard Lewis. He'd love to go on and represent them in the NFL. Terrell Pinto is back to return for Canada. I believe another timeout has been burned here to start the fourth quarter.
Yeah, one of the cool things Wednesday, Lincoln, we were talking to some of the U-19 players that just signed their letters of intent to go on and play in college. We were standing in one of the concourses at AT&T Stadium. We were sitting there, and I looked at Montel McBride, who's headed to Alabama, and I said, look behind you. Do you realize that conceivably in about 3 or 4 or 5 years, you could possibly be playing on this field? And some of them get overcome with emotion, but it's a very realistic possibility that a lot of these guys can go on beyond college and play at the ultimate highest level. And it's it really is a privilege to be able to watch them all play on the same team here today.
Lincoln Rose, along with, again, the gentleman who hosted that National Signing Day celebration over at AT&T Stadium, Tom Monfiletto. And, Tom, I know it's been a fun week for all involved. Let's see the outcome of this one as they sort things out. United States says this is going to stay with them as Samaji Perrine was able to take that ball on the fake, and sure enough, the offense for USA is going to stay out there a little bit longer.
Yeah, here's a direct snap to Perrine. 4th and 6, pretty gutsy call here, and a good job up front by Team USA, and then Perrine to break the first tackle and fight all the way to the first down.
Wow. He looked like he'd be stopped a yard shy. Next thing you know, extra burst, and he's 2 yards past the line. Talking about extra burst, that ball now will pop loose, and it's a question of who falls on it. As Justin Jackson had the carry, and moments after the United States keeps their drive alive, it appears the ball will stay with the red, white, and blue.
And that's what I'm talking about with that burst. You see Justin Jackson baiting his defenders, finally finding a seam and just exploding through it, but unable to secure the football here.
Already had the first down, then all of a sudden a pop sends that ball loose. 1st and goal will be the result for the United States, who falls on that fumble and gets possession of it right where they were able to lie on it. And for a rare time, Canada winds up in the backfield. To make the stop.
Yeah, Uyghur's keeping it there on the read option. Felt like he had a better opportunity. As Coach Faircloth comes out onto the field, making us think it's a timeout, but just signaling a play into his quarterback.
International Bowl brought to you by Upper Deck and powered by Strive. And USA trying to power its way into the end zone once again.
Throwback.
Flags come in, and Canada will want holding. Jonathan Hilleman was the running back who initially faked the carry, then ran a pass pattern.
And as we find out the outcome of these penalties, we'll take a look at our Upper Deck USA Football Alumni Spotlight, presented by Upper Deck. Collect the best. Since 2009, 8 former Team USA players have gone on to play in the NFL, and we are likely to see some of the players on this field move on to the National Football League. Some important alumni include New York Giants running back David Wilson, also Cardinals defensive back Tyrann Mathieu. Some of the ones that we mentioned already in college, not listed here, Bryce Petty. But then you have 2 guys, the signal caller and the receiver from Stanford, Stephon Tuitt, and Folston from the University of Notre Dame, and, of course, Jameis Winston, the Heisman Trophy winner.
This is 2nd and goal from 26 yards out. They'll get 23 of the yards necessary right there with a bullet to Tommy Mister. He's not the tallest receiver that USA has, but at 6 feet, gets the job done out of Chicago.
Sometimes you just see all of the weapons that Team USA has, and it might be difficult to figure out who to get the ball to and when to get the ball to them, because all-star games don't really lend themselves well to football. But when you have this much talent on the same field, it's easy to make some plays.
3rd and goal from the 3, and United States is back in. Samaje Perine put 6 more points on the board.
So Perine's going to put it in for his first touchdown of the game for Team USA.
It's a drive that was extended by a fake punt. USA also fortunate to cover a fumble a little bit farther down in the red zone.
And we saw a lot of different playmakers get the ball on that drive. We saw Nelson get a touch. We saw Mister get a touch. We saw Justin Jackson with a nice run. Perine on the fake punt, and the fake punt conversion really the main aspect of that drive that led them into the end zone.
So the United States now continues to put on points. Its second score of the second half. Extra point pending. And Canada, when it gets the ball back, will still be in search of its first offensive score against the defense of USA. Alex Spence remains your kicker. Just one kicker on the roster at each of these levels. And a good snap, good hold, and Spence will send a low driving kick through. And he's been good on each of his extra points here in the second half.
Portions of today's game being brought to you by St. Vincent's Sports Performance, defining sports performance. Also, Stubbs Legendary Barbecue Sauce, made right with all natural, gluten-free ingredients. And, of course, by Marriott, the official hotel partner of USA Football. Marriott, the official hotel partner and VIP hospitality sponsor for USA Football and the U.S. National Football Team. Special thanks to Marriott for their support of USA Football and the national team.
Tom, I know you, like me, we look forward to these USA Football events because of the people at USA Football. We've been spoiled. Garrett Shea, always busy, man of many responsibilities, but always aces each and every one of them. Thrilled to be a part of this once again. And, well, a lot of the staff at USA Football that you and I, even for these broadcasts, working closely with, Matt Ferrara as well as Nick Panisi, some young men who know these players so well, limited interaction with them, and yet they make a point to make the most of that time spent with the players, and that certainly has benefited us here throughout this week.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's fitting that they work for USA Football because they're all just real true American heroes in my eyes and in our hearts.
Whatever the next level down participation would be, Sean Lerman as well as Derek Raymond, part of the production crew. Some other men of many talents. Off a hop, this is Pinto again. And he has still not been stopped. A flag will fly in, cross midfield, out of bounds at the 45. And more often than not, the flag does not bode well for the return team.
Yeah, well, nice to see Alex Spence, the kicker, getting in on the mix, making a tackle.
Did his tackle stretching.
And that's why you see the benefits of some flexibility.
Again, our officials come together to discuss this before making the announcement.
And it looks like there might be a hold on Team Canada right there at the 40-yard line as we see Spence coming in at the end of the play. Again, nice tackle.
Well, the only thing that would lead me to believe that perhaps this is a surprise call coming up is that the referee is consulting the bench of Canada.
From our vantage point,
usually that would mean, do you want them to re-kick? Yep.
Okay. All right, so it will be a holding on Team Canada. It will be a first down after the enforcement of the penalty. But
well, Canada had to balance the fact that USA was going to get the chance to enforce the holding call, and Canada apparently is content with the ball on the 31-yard line rather than a re-kick. As each team drew an infraction, Jean is the quarterback, and he will not have long to spend in the pocket, and just a 2-yard gain on the pass out to the right side. As that time he hits number 80, you see there, David Blaine once again.
Big Russell Wren giving chase from the right defensive end position, looking for his first sack on the game. Wants to get in on the sack party here.
Well, we mentioned USA Football's offense has not spent much time on the field here in the second half. They've made the most of their opportunities, adding to what was a 22-7 lead at the half with a pair of touchdowns and successful extra points. This on 2nd and 8, keeping it on the ground. A spin for an extra couple of yards by Montemiglio.
I want to look at this play again. I want you to look at Harrison Phillips from the start of the play to the finish. Starts in the defensive tackle position inside, winds up making this play all the way towards the sideline. And this is just the effort that we've been seeing all day long from USA Football, especially from Phillips. Doesn't give up on the play, winds up making a tackle after the running back spins off of his first attempted tackler. And Phillips all over the field today.
And now a battle of the lines about to be on display, 3rd and 2. Man breaks free, pressure on the quarterback, Jean, and he can't get back to the line of scrimmage. A sack by USA on 3rd down. And making that stop, Charles Grant. Again, the defensive back flying to the play.
I've really been impressed by the ability of the defensive backfield for Team USA in their ability to tackle in the open field, to go at such high speeds, but to control themselves in such a way where they can break down, make tackles without giving up any speed.
But again, it was the defensive line, front four, who helped flush out the quarterback. Charles Nelson now back to return, standing at his own 23-yard line for USA. Canadians unlikely to fake one here. Pressure off the edge, punches away cleanly, and now the United States will set up for their 3rd drive of this half at about the 39-yard line.
We'll get some decent field position here. And I'm not sure if this is a sense where there are 7 minutes left to go in the game, but this probably isn't a situation where you're looking to run the clock out. You're still trying to get some of your guys some great experience out on the field. Maybe some guys that haven't been in as much because of how well the defense has been playing. But we'll see what Coach Faircloth likes to do here.
Jalen McClendon back in at quarterback. He has shown some signs of brilliance in his opportunities under center.
And you want your players to get out there and make the most of this experience and really just kind of get their money's worth here.
McClendon fires one, needs the receivers to set up some blocks, and they do exactly that. Some unselfish play as that time Chachi Luce again factors in the Lovejoy Leopard.
And Luce, his first reception on the day, he has a pass attempt as he hit Avery Edwards on a 4th and long.
Let's see if they wipe it off. Nope, they'll add on 15 yards. And, of course, all face mask calls now carry a 15-yard penalty. There's no longer a grasping variety for 5 yards.
No. Everything now labeled a personal foul. They want to just keep everybody as far away from the face mask as possible when making a tackle.
Inside of 7 minutes, as here in the fourth quarter, it is looking quite likely that the United States is going to prevail, and that likely has a few folks breathing a little bit easier. Justin Jackson will go sprinting down the far sideline. They'll mark him out of bounds at about the 6. He was off to the races.
And as we watch this again, just look at the quick bursts out of Justin Jackson as he blows by the defenders for Team Canada. As soon as he sees an opening and finds a place where he wants to go, he takes off and just explodes. Justin Jackson, extremely impressive running back, will be continuing his career at Evansville at Northwestern University. And right here, just takes off towards the sideline, bumped out of bounds before he can get into the end zone. Justin Jackson having an outstanding day.
Charles Nelson was running stride for stride with him to try to create a block and free him up, but just walking that tightrope on the far sideline, stepped out of bounds. There is a Canadian player down right now, as you see there, just around the 10-yard line. The reason for the stop and play was 6:38 to go, but the United States threatening to score on offense once again.
And portions of today's broadcast brought to you by the G-Series. Prime, Perform, and Recover. Also by Cutters. No other glove performs like Cutters. Cutters providing all of the gloves for Team USA. And by Tyson Fresh Chicken. Serve chicken that's farm fresh. Serve Tyson Chicken. And Tyson providing the tailgate here for USA Football.
Just a tremendous showing tonight by the national team for USA. We mentioned they came home with silver the last time these two teams met, with a championship on the line, the World Championships, a couple years back. And so the question was, could Canada possibly pull out a second straight win, or will these young men be ready for the red, white, and blue? And boy, have they ever been.
Yeah, and there's just been a tremendous amount of pride all week long, tremendous amount of appreciation and a sense of achievement for even being here all week long. And they don't just want to be here. They want to get here. They want to compete. All of these guys love to compete. That's why that's why they're here. They wouldn't be here if they didn't love to compete. And they've been doing an outstanding job today in a really dominant fashion.
That's Eric Verity, who's being helped across the field. He has a long walk back to the bench on the near side. Verity is one of the young men from the University of Saskatchewan, from Saskatoon, up there north of the border. You'll see at the end of this ball game, both teams will line up, shake hands. They certainly will leave here with respect for one another and some memories being made. It'll be all positive in the end, something for each of these nations to look back on in terms of this unique experience that they got to be a part of.
Yeah, between the coaching and the competition, being at AT&T Stadium early in the week, we saw the U-19 Canadian team practice, the team that we're watching right now. We saw them practicing after the Jamboree Wednesday night, so they got to go on the AT&T Stadium field. The U-19 U.S. team got to practice on the AT&T Stadium field, and as we said, a dream that could possibly come true for some of these student athletes that go on to play in college, and possibly even beyond that, to play one day for an NFL team inside Cowboy Stadium.
Jalen McClendon looking to lead another scoring drive. Back corner, toss up in the air, and this one incomplete, as the intended receiver that time was Ishmael Zamora, the future Baylor Bear, who will be playing his college ball about an hour and a half south of us down Interstate 35 in Waco. We'll see if they go back to Zamora or have another play in mind here. Second and goal from 6 yards out. A little inch closer, and another one of those handkerchiefs comes flying out. After the keeper from McClendon.
Yeah, we got a holding call. I think that came on the outside from a receiver, it looked like. But McClendon showing a lot of ability and promise with the ball in his hands, whether he be running it or throwing it.
Second and goal from the 15 coming up here in a moment following that penalty. as the clock gets closer and closer to the final 6 minutes of play. Let's talk about all positive. Not all losses are the same. A competition like this, you have a feeling every single one of the clubs up in Canada represented by these young men out there in the red, white, and black are going to benefit from some renewed intensity. Again, they go back corner, and again, Canada prevails with tremendous coverage on Zamora. They like the matchup with Zamora for USA, but among those who deserve credit on the coverage is Bashutsky, another player out of University of Saskatchewan, Lance Bashutsky, out of Saskatoon.
Kind of getting lost in this shuffle and the success of this USA football team here tonight. The offensive line done a pretty good job of protecting all three quarterbacks all day long and opening some holes for these running backs to barrel through.
McClendon tries to thread a needle. Again, Canada's secondary has done an excellent job on this possession. They were looking for Stevens. And Jaden McCoy, the one who gets the hand on it to break it all up. Jaden McCoy, who plays his ball for University of Manitoba in Winnipeg.
It looks like the USA offense will come back onto the field for a 4th and 15 attempt.
Yeah, 4th and goal from 15 yards out after that holding call a couple plays back. After previously being at the 6, McClendon slips one tackle, will get hit from behind, has a receiver. Again, they needed to get into the end zone or bust, and Canada has made a stop. They'll pick up with their next possession at the 15-yard line. Again, looking for Stevens on the route.
McClendon doing all he could there to keep the play alive and get something going there. But as you said, they needed to get into the end zone. It was a 4th and goal opportunity there, and Stevens unable to come up with it. And the offensive line for Team USA, we were just praising, unable to give McClendon enough time to make a decision there.
This was the game probably the most folks were talking about, tweeting about on social media, but this will just mark the halfway point of the 2014 International Bowl and the coverage from USA Football, both in the States on ESPN3 and internationally as well. You can find those links, regardless of where you live, at internationalbowl.com. Tomorrow, 3 more games, the U17 red, U17 blue, as well as the U18 national teams for the United States. We certainly look forward to that coverage as we wrap up this year's International Bowl series under this new format, as you saw Trey Mosley factoring in on that last one for the United States.
We have 2 U17 games, as you said, starting at 1 o'clock Central Time, and 4 o'clock Central Time will be the other U17 game, and then our nightcap, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, the U18 Team USA squad will take on the U18 Canada squad. Luke Lancaster, Tucker Byrne, 2 standout quarterbacks there for the U18 team. Look out for Colton Beebe, a 6'3", 245-pound linebacker who really turned some heads at the Jamboree.
There's a couple young men on that U18 squad who also signed on the dotted line this past Wednesday after playing their senior seasons this past fall.
Michael Legan headed to UTSA, and also Donald Wilhite at Culver Stockton College, who wants to be a coach when he graduates from college, and some really talented players on that U18 team that are qualified age-wise for the U18 team, but have also sealed their college fate.
That'll be the final of this 6-game series. It'll be tomorrow night at 7 Central, as you noted, Tom, 8 Eastern. And Canada just wants something positive to wrap up this game with. Still looking for points on the offensive side. Christian Leser, a name we've called a few times, young man with a bright future, helping make the stop.
Yeah, Christian Ledger really doing a great job on special teams, but really an interesting kid to talk to. Here he is before National Signing Day.
Christian Leser, linebacker, Boston College. Boston College was a great fit for me both athletically and academically, and it's not too far away from home, so that's why I chose Boston College. I give 100% every play, and I'll be around the ball.
A lot of bright young men who are going to utilize these college scholarships to further their education and their football playing days. It is 4th and a pair. Canada will not go for it. As they are pinned back deep, they'd rather give USA as long of a field to play with as possible.
And you can teach technique, you can teach habits, you can teach footwork, but one thing you can't teach is heart and effort, and that's what Christian Leser's talking about there. No matter what, he's always going to be where the football is, and we've seen it today, whether it be on special teams or at his linebacker, outside linebacker position. That's something that when you learn that skill, when that's something that you're born with, which he clearly is, that makes it so much easier for him to be coached at the next level.
Nelson will wisely go ahead and just let this ball die down with the Canadians at the 38-yard line. USA will gladly take over there with 4:30 to play, 36-7. It is looking as though the United States will claim 2 of the 3 opening day contests against Canada here in the 2014 International Bowl.
And I want you to take a look at Montel McBride, big number 60, big number, what are we looking at here? Montel McBride headed to
69, number 1 in your heart, 69 on your roster.
Number 69. We just want to take a look at some of his high school highlights. Montel McBride headed to the University of Alabama, as you see him just really just swallowing his opponents. Here he is playing nose tackle, finishing off a play at the end, and really a gem that Nick Saban found.
Returning to live action, Durkin fires a pass for a first down as he again is able to hook up with the playmaker and Charles Nelson.
So McBride, one of the big boys on the offensive line here for USA Football.
Yeah, they've done a tremendous job winning the battle, both offense and defense. Charles Nelson, we mentioned on that last play, he's going to sleep well tonight. Flags fly, and this play will be blown dead. Leads you to believe it will be against the offense.
That is one thing that the coaching staff for this U-19 USA team said before the game started. They said Charles Nelson will be sore. We don't know what the outcome of the game is going to be, but we do know that Charles Nelson will be sore Saturday morning.
If you hear the ice machine on your floor being put to work nonstop for the next couple of hours, you'll understand. Yesterday, players could have just sat out on the driveway. 1st and 15. Eludes the ankle tackle, gets back to the original line of scrimmage after a 5-yard gain. Excellent job continuing to fight there for yardage.
Saeed Block now on the reception there, breaking a tackle, keeping his balance.
Saeed's headed to Happy Valley to play in the Big Ten.
Coach James Franklin taking over there, a northeastern Philadelphia native. Just about 50 minutes from Manalapan High School, where Saeed Blocknell went to school, and was recruiting him when he was at Vanderbilt, and was able to convince him to come to Penn State.
Another handoff. We'll see if USA can eat some clock. Obviously, some of these young men still want to make a few more highlights for their real Justin Jackson that time. The 5'11" running back, some nice size.
Justin Jackson with a lot of room to get bigger as well. The speed is there, the burst is there, the quickness is absolutely there. His vision is outstanding, and you see a lot of guys here with good frames and an opportunity to grow. You look at one of the U-17 players, Robert Washington, has been a part of the USA football program for a number of years. His ability to grow, get a lot stronger as he has progressed throughout his high school career has been remarkable. And you're going to see a lot of that here today. Or you're going to see a lot of that in the future of these players.
5 wide for Durkin, and he doesn't share the ball with a single one of them. Instead, on 3rd and 3, goes head over heels and will be stopped about a yard shy by Canada.
And on one hand, you have to love that. You have to love that out of your quarterback, just having absolutely no fear whatsoever, and he's going to make and get the extra yard no matter what he has to do. On the other hand, it's a little bit scary.
This time he'll have some lead blockers as they line up, and there was a timeout called by Canada first. 2:08 to play. We want to remind fans tuning in to stick around upon the conclusion of this game between the U-19 national teams of United States of America and Canada. An MVP will be announced from both squads.
Yeah, and we probably won't pick an offensive lineman because it's tough to notice what they've done. But 36 points on the board for this Team USA squad, and this offensive line has done a tremendous job, led mostly by center Dalton Risner, who we caught up with before National Signing Day.
Dalton Risner, the Kansas State University. I play offensive line center. Oh, I love Kansas State and the way they just mush it down the field. I'm a nasty guy on the field. I feel I can go in there and just pound the ball down the field, and that's what Kansas State does, so I'll fit perfect.
Dalton spends his summers working on local farms and ranches, stacking bales of hay, milking cows. So he's up to any challenge. He's from a small town, very supportive community. Basically feels like a giant family.
Yeah, well, one of the nicest kids that you will meet. He was a pleasure to talk to. Coach Snyder's really getting a gem of a human being there and also getting a fantastic football player as well.
You know, Dalton is actually a multiple sport athlete, is in the midst of basketball season right now, as well as track. You can understand why Dalton averages 22 rebounds a game this past year.
Is that real? That's a real stat?
I wrote it down. It's got to be true.
That is outstanding. No, I understand. Get some decent positioning down low on the block.
He also insists he's a talented chef. Pancakes and grilled cheese. And Justin Jackson with that last carry.
It's a really complicated repertoire there.
It appears to have paid off for a young man who's 3 times been All-State, primarily as a center out of Wiggins, Colorado. We mentioned he'll go on to play for Bill Snyder in Manhattan, Kansas, the Little Apple for the K-State Wildcats.
How do you list pancakes and grilled cheese if you're going to say you're an accomplished chef? It's like saying I'm a great writer, but I only make coloring books.
Got to learn to crawl before you can walk.
Yeah,
got to learn to walk before you can run. Although it's hard to run if you eat too many grilled cheese and pancakes.
That is true.
It's a vicious cycle.
Done wonders for Risner.
Minute remaining. USA looking for some final punctuation on tonight's win over Canada. And Samaje Perine will provide exactly that. Back into the end zone as USA's back on the board.
And Perine with the second touchdown of the game. We saw another excellent burst and just a relentless drive to get into that end zone.
So the unsportsmanlike conduct you heard will be assessed on the kickoff. Touchdown is good. The extra point will be tried from its typical spot a couple yards out.
And Perine has some excellent size for a running back, all ready to be at his size before getting into a college weight room with his agility and his quickness is something that Oklahoma is going to be really, really excited to accept.
Just 10 men on. Now they'll bring in the 11th man late for USA, and that's another thing. Special teams, you've got to be impressed when you can figure out special teams in less than a week of two-a-days. This ball up and over the crossbar to tack on a 43rd point here tonight for USA. Remember, it's a USA offense that's put up 40. It's a USA defense that has allowed none.
And it's a USA special team that has contributed to a touchdown or two as well. So an absolutely complete performance in every sense of the word here for the U-19 USA team. And the main event in the big stage Friday night here at Maverick Stadium at UT Arlington, they showed up in a big, big way.
Appropriately, we are playing under the Friday night lights. Less than a minute to go in this matchup between USA and Canada.
And after the game, we will anoint our players of the game for each team. And there's a lot to choose from Team USA. You have Perine that has 2 touchdowns. You have Charles Nelson, who had a bunch of catches, a bunch of touches, and a punt return for a touchdown. You have some players on the defensive side. Harrison Phillips making a couple great plays. I don't know. It's going to be tough to decide here.
You know, the beauty of the platforms that USA Football has associated themselves with both ESPN3 and YouTube is the ability to replay these games and relive a lot of these moments weeks from now, months from now, years from now. And there have certainly been quite a few memorable moments here tonight.
Well, we're seeing some of the best talent in the country at this age level, at each respective age level, and so far it has not disappointed.
So Canada will get the ball back, presumably here for one final time, as they'll try to leave their final stamp as well. From the 26. And down at about the 44-yard line, so close to midfield here for the red, white, and black.
And no surprise there, Christian Lezer in on the tackle.
The U-15s played the opening match of this weekend's 6-game series, and that went the way decisively 48-0 for the United States. The second game, a nail-biter. But in the end, I believe 10-7 the final score in favor of Canada in a battle of the U-16s. The U-19s, the elder statesmen, trying to set the tone for tomorrow's 3 games here. And a dangerous pass, congested area, lots of traffic, and great coverage by Nick Ruffin.
And I don't think Nick Ruffin has had a pass completed to his side yet today. The talented cornerback headed to Auburn, who was actually at the Iron Bowl this year when Chris Davis Jr. returned the kick for a touchdown. Said it was one of the craziest experiences he's ever had live at a sporting event. I don't know what else could top that.
And it helped catapult Auburn into the national championship game for the first time since Cam Newton brought home the crystal ball a few years back. Rolling out to the right side on 2nd and 10, about a 7-yard gain. Clock will stop with just inside of 37 seconds remaining, as Dante Jean looks to be the quarterback who will close things out here for Canada. Well, I think it's been a nice job by the coaches from both rosters, working in players from top to bottom. United States, certainly we've been able to introduce you to the vast majority of the young men who made the trip to Arlington this week.
Yeah, and you might look at this and say, oh, you have all this talent. You have some of the best players in the country, arguably the best players at their position in the country. How could it be difficult? But you have different agendas. You have different areas where you have to put some players because you have so many weapons, and you have to find a way for everybody to contribute at an amount that they're happy with.
Yeah, credit USA Football again. We mentioned some of their staff, including Nick Panisi. They found guys who want to be here, one common purpose. I'd compliment Matt Ferrara, but he doesn't want all the attention.
And if you see big number 74, I believe that's Nick Evans, or Craig Evans, twirling the flag around for Team USA. Craig Evans had a great game today on the defensive line, headed to Michigan State next year. Told me he felt some type of way.
Canada will have to snap it. There's 7 on the play clock, 10 on the game clock. And that one incomplete. Stops the clock. 7.6 seconds remaining in this ball game. Taji Fullwood separating the ball from the receiver.
And Fullwood quietly having himself a terrific game, headed to South Florida. From the Tampa region, him and Vincent Jackson, about to be some South Florida Bulls. Taji Fullmore, you can't see with his helmet on, but he is rocking the Boyz II Men style, old school Motown Philly Boyz II Men style haircut.
It's going to take too much time to explain that to any of these young men. 19 and under.
Just a quick goog.
Again, Canada looking for its first offensive points. They have the option to pass downfield here after that lateral. Receiver out in the flats. USA utilizes the sideline, and that's the ball game. The U-19s of the United States of America prevail tonight 43-7 on day 1 of the 2014 International Bowl. USA Football and its national teams claim 2 of the first 3 games of the series. And Tom Monfiletto, let's do this again tomorrow, shall we?
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, Lincoln. Thanks for coming with us today. And we saw an absolute complete performance from this USA football team. The U15s and the U19s with a similar dominant performance all across the board. Offense, defense, special teams. Really an exciting thing to see all day long. And the U19 players of the game will be announced shortly, and we will take a look at midfield as Garrett Shea will go down there, and we will award the players of the game. And really in awe of the defensive effort from Team USA. 43-7 is the final score here in Arlington.
We mentioned each nation will be represented by an MVP. So many to choose from. Boy, did that defense shine for the United States of America. We'll see how this one plays out.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to midfield to honor the International Bowl Rydell Most Valuable Player Awards. The Team Canada Rydell Most Valuable Player Award will be presented by USA Football Senior Director, Mr. Garrett Shea. The Team Canada Rydell Most Valuable Player is number 7, Travell Pinto.
So Travell Pinto from the U19 Canadian team. 70 all-purpose yards, really all over the field. Had a couple returns, a couple receptions. Really do some nice things out in space for Team Canada. And now we're going to announce the MVP for Team USA.
President, Mr. Richard McLean. The Team USA Rydell Most Valuable Player is number 28, Charles Nelson.
Well, not too much of a surprise as Charles Nelson, the Oregon-bound slot receiver with 5 receptions for 56 yards, 3 punt returns for 114 yards, and 1 touchdown, will take home the Rydell Player of the Game for Team USA.
It's appropriate if you can only choose one player that you do somebody who embodies the fact that USA got it done in so many different ways, including a score on special teams, a defense that shut out the opposing offense of Canada, and of course offense as well. Now, Charles Nelson didn't get any defensive reps in, but he got the other 2 facets logged on to his resume, certainly in fine fashion.
And as I'm sure it has been an honor for these young men to represent their country and play the sport that they love. It's been an honor watching them all week long, and we'll be back tomorrow night for the U17 Red at 1 o'clock, U17 Blue at 4 o'clock, and then at 7 o'clock, the U18 squad will be back here right at Maverick Stadium.
Folks, you've been watching day 1 of this 2-day event, the 2014 International Bowl. USA takes 2 of the 3 games on this opening day, including the big boys, the U19s, the champions tonight, 43-7. Under the Friday night lights, it's red, white, and blue shining the brightest.